Good morning. I'm County Judge Richard F. Cortez. I'm the chairman of the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1. And on March the 16th of 2020, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to this COVID-19 matter. In accordance with those suspended rules, notice of this meeting of the Board of Directors of Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we will have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference or telephone call. The board is meeting by use of Zoom software and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during the public participation forum. This meeting is being broadcast live online. As we would in any other in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice will be permitted to participate in the public forum portion of this agenda. Should you would like to participate in the public forum in a future meeting conducted by video conference or telephone call, please follow the instructions on the posted meeting notice. All other meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent possible. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable technical difficulties, and we ask for your patience as we navigate through these unprecedented conditions. The time now is 9:47, and we will begin a roll call with Precinct 1 to establish quorum.
David Fuentes, Precinct 1.
Eddie Gontier, Precinct 2.
You're Commissioner Ellie's here.
Ellie Torres, Precinct 4.
Richard Cortez, County Judge, that constitutes a quorum. Mr. Sassin, would you please lead us in prayer?
Certainly will, Judge. All right, let us pray. Father God, again, we give you many thanks for another opportunity to allow us to come serve, Lord. We continue to pray daily, Lord, for our leadership. Continue to lift up our judge and 4 commissioners, Lord, that you have appointed to lead this great county of ours, Lord. Continue to provide them with all your wisdom, Lord. Continue to provide them with all your guidance, Lord. And more importantly, give them your peace through your son, Jesus, Lord, as they continue to make all the decisions that affect us all, Lord. Continue to ask for your wisdom for myself, for all our workers of a great county, Lord. We continue to pray for all the sick, Lord. Continue to lift them up to you for your healing hand upon them. We pray for their families as well, Lord. Pray for those that have passed on, Lord, that you may comfort those families during this time of need, Lord. We continue to ask for your guidance in all that we do, Lord. We ask this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I don't believe anyone signed up for open forum. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have no one for open forum drainage.
Okay, so then we'll go to item number 4, the approval of the consent agenda.
Yes, sir, Judge. On the consent agenda, we have our normal approval check register. We have some line item transfers, approval of some permits, general operations, our second quarter investment report, and some invoices that have been vetted by engineering and our accounting. Everything's in order, sir. We recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item 5A, presentation of Burt McCumber and Longoria LLP of the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 2019 Financial Audit and Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. Is Mr. Longoria on the line? Okay, there you are.
Y'all see me okay? Y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm here to present for acceptance and acknowledge the completion of the audit report for the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 for the year ended December 31st, 2019. I will start here by saying that my intent today is to keep this relatively short, just given the circumstance of the 175-page report. But certainly, if any commissioner would like to go over the report in detail, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll certainly go into the level of detail that you would like. I will also say that if you thought listening to an auditor speak about an audit report is boring in person. It does not get any better this way. Okay, so another reason to keep it short. So with that said, hopefully you did receive two documents. One is the entire audit report itself. One is our governance letter addressed to the board of directors. I'm not going to read that letter. I'll just speak to the points in it, just acknowledging that any audit report includes certain assumptions. As accounting, believe it or not, is not an exact science. Assumptions being, for example, allowance for bad debt as it relates to taxes receivable and things of that nature are one of the key assumptions included within the audit report, as well as depreciation on the infrastructure of the drainage district. The second thing I wanted to bring up with respect to that letter is just acknowledging that we started this audit back in March or April when things really started to get serious with respect to COVID. And despite all the challenges related to trying to complete an audit during these times, we were able to get it done. And I want to certainly thank Raul and Laura and their team because it was a challenge. And I think we all rose to that challenge and we're able to complete this audit. This audit report will be submitted to the GFOA in hopes of earning its Certificate of Excellence for Financial Reporting, which is an award that the district has been receiving for the past few years, and certainly want to congratulate them on that effort. Again, there were no disagreements with management, and nor, to our knowledge, were there any other consultations with other accountants to opinion shop. Again, those are just some of the broad concepts included within the governance letter. Again, to the extent that you want to go over that letter in detail, please feel free to reach out to me, and we will certainly make the time. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the audit report. Again, the audit report is over 100. The audit CAFRA, the comprehensive annual financial report, is actually over 175 pages. But I think the most important part of this audit report relates to our opinion. This is the part that we get engaged to do. And our opinion is actually set forth on page 13 of the CAFR. I will summarize, it's actually a 2.5-page opinion, but I will summarize that with respect to these financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2019, that these financial statements did receive unqualified, if you will, clean opinion for the numbers that are included therein. So, and I'll summarize, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, and aggregate remaining fund information of the district as of December 31st, 2019. So it is a clean opinion. It is an unmodified opinion. Our opinion does make reference to the financial position of the drainage district, and so I'm going to jump straight to that page and just kind of acknowledge what that financial position is. On page 28 of the CAFR, you'll see all the major funds being presented from the drainage district, with the most significant fund being the general fund. And I'll drop down to what I think is probably the most important, certainly one of the most important funds within a governmental organization. That is the unassigned balance of the general fund. And the unassigned balance of the general fund as of December 31st, 2019, it's a little over $19 million. And that fund continues to remain steady. So despite all the challenges that the drainage district has had in trying to deal with rain events, say during the past 5 years, and trying to react and be proactive in addressing those rain events, the unassigned general fund of the drainage district continues to remain relatively strong and the same. So on a historical basis, I think it's peaked maybe as high as 21 and maybe as low, for lack of a better term, low as 19. So the fund balance, again, continues to remain strong and steady. I think the most significant transaction that was entered into by the drainage district this past year, of course, was the selling of the $73 million unlimited tax improvement bonds, Series 2019. This was approved by the voters, and the sale of those bonds was executed during the 2019 year. Certainly, those proceeds will be used to continue to expand and improve the infrastructure related to drainage within our region. And those are really my comments at this time. We did have an exit conference with management We did go over the report in more detail. We did talk about some areas of improvement that certainly didn't rise to the level of needing to be put in writing. But I'll share just a couple of the items that were discussed. For example, and again, these are minor. There were some outstanding checks that in total were less than $5,000, if you will. And they had been outstanding for a while. And so we just asked management to follow up on that, on those particular items. I believe another item might have been just going back and updating and revisiting their disaster recovery plan from an IT perspective. And again, those are just a flavor of the items that we discussed in our exit conference, and I just wanted to share those with you today. So Judge, Commissioners, I don't have any other comments. Like I said, an in-person presentation is not real exciting, and this does not get any better. But certainly I appreciate your time and allowing us to be of service to Drainage District. Thank you.
I only have two questions. Number one, and thank you for the report. Number one, we're showing $140 million in cash and cash equivalents, of which the majority, $80 million, was in the bond capital funds. Do we take advantage of any short-term investing in those funds, or they're simply in demand deposits?
Yeah, so right now, Judge, all is just by looking at the numbers, the vast majority of the money is in just demand deposits. Your depository agreement does give you a little bit of interest, but it is literally a little bit of interest. Certainly, there are opportunities to become more aggressive with those funds. Maybe put them into the state funds, where maybe your rate of return will be a little bit higher. But certainly, from a Drainage District perspective, that's an evaluation of risk. Is there a whole lot of risk going from a bank to maybe moving those out to a state managed funds? There is some risk, but I can't say that's multiple levels of risk. So yes, to answer your question, I think there is an opportunity, and that's up to the Commissioner's Court to decide what you're comfortable with in terms of taking advantage of that opportunity.
Okay, but I will make sure that next time we look into this agreement with our bank, that we look into that. Then the other question, real quick, is due from other governmental funds. I'm showing $3,600,000 of the general fund and $2 million on non-major funds, and I've noticed that this has been there kind of year after year after year after year. What are those?
Yeah, and I think there's a footnote that details that out, Judge. I'm trying to pull it out so I can speak to it. What footnote there? Page 40. Yeah. Yeah. So the detail. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm on the right page, Judge. Excuse me.
The only reason I'm asking is I just want to make sure there's no stale items that need to be cleared. That these are current dues and froms.
Okay. Yeah.
The current transactions, not stale items.
Right. So the short answer to your question, Judge, is that the vast majority of the amounts there are current. And in fact, I found it. It's on page 49, note E, will tell you the individual entity, the government that owes the money back to the Drainage District. I believe there may be some amounts that are not as significant that may be due from some of the individual precincts, and that needs to be followed up on. But the vast majority of the monies that represent that total are current.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lagodi.
And thank you, Judge.
I had a quick question. Thank you again for the presentation, Mr. Longoria. Any significant or any findings in your audit?
No, not this year. And when I say not this year, even last year we really didn't have anything. As I mentioned, we had a couple of observations. The examples I gave earlier that we discussed with management during our exit conference. We just didn't feel from an auditor perspective that they rose to the level of being a finding necessary for the inclusion of the report.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Congratulations to the Laura and the Drainage District. I think that's, when you're talking about an audit report, this is about as good as it can get.
Yes.
Thank you,
Any
Commissioner.
other questions?
Okay, well, Mr. Longoria, well, thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you, Judge.
I have a motion to accept the report.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
Great. Yes, sir. That was item 5A2 that took a motion on. So we'll move on to 5B1, submission of the 2020 effective and rollback tax rate for Dow County Drainage District number 1. Paul?
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners, Mr. Cecina, Mr. Ivan Perez. I'm gonna go ahead and number 1, submission of the 2020. It used to be called the effective and rollback tax rates. Now it's called the no new revenue tax rates. Okay, that's the effective tax rate is called now the no new revenue tax rate. The rollback rate is now called the voter approval tax rate. So you see that on your governing summary, number 1, where we have the breakdown of the proposed tax rates. It's the no new revenue tax rate is if you have that in front of you, the 0.1010, that used to be your effective tax rate. So this year it's the no new revenue tax rate at 0.1010. Your voter approval tax rate used to be the rollback rate. It's at 1026. That's the highest rate you can go without having an election, a rollback election. So that's hopefully what we'll be discussing, Mr. Cecin, this morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Cecin, I think we're gonna probably hear your discussion and see what you want to propose for this year for the drainage district.
Yes,
And
sir.
Once we're done with that, we'll set. This time last year we had 2 public hearings. We're not gonna have 2 public hearings anymore. They went ahead and reduced it to 1 notice, so we're only gonna have 1 public hearing. And of course, we had discussed that maybe the public hearing is gonna be on September the 29th. And right after the public hearing, we can also adopt the tax rate on that same day, which will be the September 29th.
So you've covered items B1 and B2, correct, Paul, right now with the submission of the effective rollback tax rate, which is now called the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approved tax rate. And you've covered item 2, which is the planning calendar, correct?
That's correct. So if you want to go ahead.
Discussion of the 2020 tax rate for the board. Yes, as Paul mentioned, what is now the no new revenue tax rate is at 1010. The voter approved tax rate is at 1026. At the district, last year's tax rate was at 1051. And evaluating all our needs and everything that we've done district-wide, and especially the growth that we've had with a lot of the systems, the maintenance and so forth, we would like to propose the voter approval tax rate of 1026 for this coming year. It is appraisals have gone up, so the tax rate, voter approved tax rate, is going down based on last year. It is a drop of $2.50 per year for a $100,000 home. And when you compare it to the no new revenue tax rate, it's $1.60 per year for a $100,000 valued home. So it is going down because of the appraisals that have increased by $2.50 per year for a $100,000 value home, and is being proposed $1.60 per year for a $100,000 valued home. So that's what we recommend to the board, considering all the events that we've gone through, and as mentioned earlier, in the last 3 years, what Mr. Longoria mentioned, and what we continue to do at the district in expanding our systems, doing the locals, maintenance, and all the growth that we're incurring. So
Okay, if you want to take a vote on the proposed tax rate of 0.1026.
And Judge, I would recommend a roll call vote.
Okay, I have a question, Paul, just before we do take a roll call or a vote. The tax roll now, as you have it, is final. All adjustments have been made for those that protested the valuation and stuff like that. So we're actually really looking at
This is just the certified data as of July 25th. Later on, they're still working on some proposed tax rate on some what is it called, some protest accounts. So those will be additional funding that we'll get depending on what they decide. But as of July 25th, this has been certified as the actual certified data.
Do you anticipate any material changes to that tax roll?
More than likely, there'll be some where the appraisal district might end up deciding to lower some of the values that they have. So, but that's really up to them. I couldn't really tell you how much it's going to be, but right now, as of July 25th, we had a value certified by the appraisal district as of $38,339,577.35. So it was an increase of 1.8 billion from last year to this year's.
Okay. May I have a
Hold on,
roll
Judge.
call vote?
Judge, I'm sorry, there were a lot of numbers thrown out there. Just want to clarify one thing before we vote. So Raul, the tax rate of the 1026 to a person that has $100,000 valued home is a difference or an increase of tax of $2.20, you said?
No, sir. It's a decrease from the previous tax of $2.50 a year.
So it's,
okay. From 1051 right now, sir. We're at 1051 right now, so it's going down by $2.50 per year for a $100,000 value home.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready, Judge, if you're ready.
And there needs
May
to
I have a roll call vote on passing the tax rate for the drainage district to 1026.
Do we have to have a motion, Ivan, or are we just?
Yeah, so there should be a motion to on the proposed tax rate and the scheduling of one hearing as recommended by Mr. Villarreal.
Okay. Let's start
I
with
make a motion to that effect to what Ivan just said.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote starting with precinct number 1?
Aye.
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 I vote aye too. That carries with a vote of 4-0. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Now, if we can set the date and time for this meeting, it's going to be on September 29th. Is it at 9:45, Mr. Cecine?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, it's September 29th at 9:45 a.m. At that time, you'll have the public hearing, and then right after the public hearing, you'll adopt the tax rate. So if you can take a vote on that, please.
Judge, is that okay? Because that sounds like the last Thursday or Tuesday of the month. Is that when we usually have the afternoon?
That's kind of the drop date. That's kind of the last day we can do it. I mean, if you want to do it earlier, we can do it earlier.
No, what I'm saying is usually on the last Tuesday, we have it in the afternoon.
Actually, that's the 5th Tuesday, Eddie.
Okay, so 9:45? I make a motion to follow Paul's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. If I may, sir, I'll go to item 5C. Requesting approval to authorize and designate Reyes, General Manager as sub-recipient, authorized representative to close out Texas Division of Emergency Management DR 1780 Hurricane Dolly Grant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item DA, discussion consideration on Drainage District General Manager and board members David Fuentes and Eli Torres to submit comments to Texas General Land Office regarding the state Texas CDBG DR action plan for 2018 South Texas floods. Similar to what we've done in the past, the board has assigned two board members to issue written comments. The deadline for these comments for and the next item is the 2019 as well. We can discuss it collectively. It's okay. Items A and B, they're the same funding or the same time frame for the public hearings that the state of Texas General Land Office has written the state plan. They're due by the end of this month. We do have some concerns and issues how the structure of the funding is coming down and how they've structured it. So we are going to be writing those comments down and submitting it in writing to the General Land Office on their state action plan. We'd like for the board to approve it so we can continue with our efforts of identifying our concerns for our area, which we believe would be, I guess, would be better suited if some of these concerns were taken into account in the state action plan, and then eventually by HUD looking at those to change some of the distribution and some of the approaches for these two rain events that really impacted our area. So I don't know if Commissioner Torres or Commissioner Fuentes want to have comments to add.
So we spent a lot of time traveling to DC and having conversations with the General Land Office and with HUD jointly, and we communicated what our needs were for this particular disaster recovery plans. They seemed to be in agreement with it, but when the state issued this plan, we didn't think that it was an effective use of money. We're trying to put in mitigation projects to avoid future disasters, and the way that they outlined the use of this money would make a very minimal impact to our area. So we are wanting to put forth those comments again to ask the state to reconsider their action plan so that we can put in effective projects. The way it's designed right now, none of us would be able to do anything productive with the money with respect to drainage. So we've tried to memorialize our initial thoughts. We're getting some data to support that. And we just want the ability to be able to submit these comments on behalf of the Drainage District, and then later on today, asking the same consideration on behalf of the county.
So do you want me to make a motion on both A and B, Raul, or just A?
Both of them, Commissioner Cantu, please, because the same item for B applies as for the 2019, the same 2019 Texas floods, which are both going to be due at the end of the month.
I make a motion to approve both A and B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
And thank both of you for the great job you're doing in pursuing that matter.
Thank you.
Item C, discussion, consideration, authorization, document drainage number 1 to submit a waiver to Texas General Land Office and U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development regarding state flood, CBGDR action 2018 South Texas flood. And we'll take D as well. Discussion, consideration, authorization, documentation 1 to submit a waiver to Texas General Land Office and U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development regarding state of Texas CDBG-DR action plan for 2019 disasters. Again, as Commissioner Fuentes mentioned, the way the formula is written right now, we don't believe we'll get sufficient or significant, I guess, funding to impact our county. So we want to request a waiver to increase the maximum amount allowed per project and look at the percentage of housing versus infrastructure to look at the possible waiver of what they're proposing now versus what we believe really impacts our area. Doing infrastructure, housing is very important for our area, but at the same time, if we don't do the infrastructure to protect that housing, we have that repetitive issue. So those are the two items that we want to focus on the waiver.
And part of that also is that the model, our damage models never indicated that the amount that they allocated for housing was ever going to meet that threshold. So we would rather move some of those monies over to the mitigation side and try to create those projects that you're talking about in order to protect safety, and homes. So this waiver is a critical part of our comments to the GLO and to HUD. I'll make a motion to approve C and D.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you. Item E, requesting approval to complete and submit a joint application with Dow County for the 2015 flood state mitigation competition to Texas General Land Office. And F as well, requesting approval to complete and submit a joint application with Dow County for the 2016 flood state mitigation petition to the Texas General Land Office. These are also funds that will be available for our area. We want to partner with the county to submit. The drainage district is not eligible to submit directly, so we want to partner with the county on it, because the drainage district does have an adoption master drainage plan as one of the components of the requirements in the application, and other things that we do here obviously speaks to the drainage for our county. So we're seeking approval by the board to partner with the county, and I believe they'll have something similar on the county agenda as well to look at those applications to try to pursue additional funding. Commissioner Fuentes?
Agreed. It's just another funding mechanism. These are all kind of coming down at the same time with the Federal Register finally being published. So we're aggressively trying to find new ways to fund projects in our area to try to improve drainage. As we all know, with this hurricane, this again actually showed us that we have even more deficiencies than the bond can address. So these are just new funding mechanisms that might be able to provide some relief in some of the critical areas that need additional drainage. So these are absolutely necessary and critical to us, and it's a competition. Hopefully we'll be able to do this successfully, but I've seen the plan, we're working on it, and I think that it's gonna result in something for our area. So I'll make a motion to approve 5D, E, and F.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item G, discussion and possible action regarding the nomination of individuals to Texas Land and Ground Office, CDBG, MIT Citizen Advisory Committee. I have Mr. Salazar make that presentation. He's been researching this information. So,
good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Jaime Salazar for the record. As Mr. Sissi mentioned, the GLO has established a Citizens Advisory Committee. The purpose of the committee will be to advise the General Land Office on the implementation of CDBG MIT programs. At this time, GLO has broken down the state into 4 regions. Hidalgo County is considered Region 2. The nominations that they're looking for, the criteria is a disaster survivor, a first responder, a public official, a disaster service volunteer, or other that have to be described. And these are for during the 2015 and 2016 events. There's approximately 30 counties in our region, so there's not a cap on the nominations. We will be working with Commissioner Fuentes and Commissioner Torres and her staff and looking at possible nominations. We wanted to bring this item for discussion because we will be bringing it back. I think we have until September the 8th is our deadline to bring back some nominations. And like I said, we'll be working with Commissioner Fuentes and Torres' staff on seeking additional nominations, and also reach out to the other commissioners, board members, to see if they have any nominations as well. We're trying to get at least some disaster survivors that give us a good perspective of what they endured during those events. You know, a good look, as Mr. Cecine says, from ground zero. So
do you have any nominations at this time, or are we just discussing it?
Yes, sir, we do. At this time, we wanted to recommend, kind of set the foundation with Mr. Cecine, the General Manager of the Drainage District, yourself, Commissioner Fuentes, and also Commissioner Torres.
And we all meet the qualifications, right?
Yes, sir.
And at the same time, Commissioner, we're going to continue, as Jaime mentioned, to work with the rest of the board and help us in reaching out to the community. We're still trying to, there's no limitations. Everything that we've looked at has, you know, like Jaime mentioned, there's 30 counties in our region, and we don't know there's going to be 5 people per county, or 20 or 50 or 100. There's no limitation on it yet. So I think we want to focus on those that have been impacted, those areas, and as he mentioned, those 4 categories. So.
And I think this is critical because these committees are going to have some input on where these mitigation monies go to. And us being one of the largest counties in this area that's been designated by the state, it would be really critical for us to have representation of, so that we can have support for the projects that we're proposing. So I appreciate that. Judge, you have any comments or?
I like the recommendations and the nominations. I think the 3 of you are very well suited for what they're asking and wanting.
Commissioner,
so I have a motion to nominate the 3 of you.
Commissioner Cantu, you're okay with that?
Yes, I'm really good.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 6A, presentation scoring grade for the purpose of ranking by the board of directors of the grading and evaluation firms submitting response to CSP number ACD 120-0390722, mile 9 north, FM 1015, package 1A improvement, 2018 bond repairment project 24. Firm name is Moorville LLC with a score of 9433. Signs Brothers Construction LLC 8768. IOC Company 8561. Jimenez Engineering Solutions DBA ICE Consulting Engineers 8501. RG Enterprises LLC DBA GGN Contractors 8335. Go Underground LLC 7470. Jimmy Cluster and Sons Construction Company Inc. 7457. Which the board wish to rank as stated.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No one opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2, pursuant to the board approval, requesting authority documentation 1, to negotiate construction service agreement with the number 1 ranked firm of Moorville LLC for the provision of construction service for Mile 9 North FM 1015, package 1A improvement, 2018 bond repairment project 24.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Just a quick comment, Judge, before we move on. This area has been negatively impacted these last 3 years. It has improved because of the detention facility that we put next to this area, but this project is going to bring a tremendous amount of relief to our people who have been flooding a lot. So we'll just get them under contract as quickly as possible so we can get this project going, please.
Yes, sir. We plan on meeting with them tomorrow, sir, and hopefully we have successful this week negotiations. Our goal will be to get it on the agenda next Tuesday, sir. Thank you. Item B, requesting acceptance and approval of work session number 1 for the provisions of construction material testing service, Jackson Road Drain Phase 1, 2018 bond referendum project 16. And the amount, we apologize, this is a typo. The amount is $78,484.04 through award contract number CACD 120270519 with B2Z Engineering LLC for documentation of 1 home call professional construction material testing service subject to legal review.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 1, professional engineering service contract CACD 11904600701 with Guzman and Munoz Engineering and Surveying Inc. for the project Malone Drive, Plum Road Project 18, Ola Blanca Mount 10 North Project 28, 2018 bond recommended projects to reflect revised Exhibit D work schedule with an extended termination date of March 19, 2021, subject to legal review and compliance House Bill 1295. This project is already out for bid. We are scheduled to receive bids next week, both projects. So we're asking for the extension and visiting with the engineer till March of next year. We should be wrapping everything up and be done with the projects.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2, request approval of supplemental agreement number 1 for work session number 1 of the professional engineering service contract CACD 11904600701. Mom and Munoz Engineering Serving for the project Malone Drive, Pomelo Project 18. Wait. Item twice again.
To the professional engineer.
Oh, work authorization, got it. And Ola Blanca Mile 10 Project 28, 2018 bond projects to reflect the revised period of service date of March 19, 2021. So legal review and compliance House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, Mr. Cecine.
Go ahead, brother.
This is Valde. Mr. Cecine and Judge Commissioners, I apologize, but I do believe we need to go back to item 5B, which was under the presentation of Mr. Villarreal, the tax assessor collector. While it is true that the district may have its meeting on September 29th in the AM, we usually follow, or they follow the county. With respect to the county, the court adopted the last Tuesday of the month because some months have 5 Tuesdays, the others have 4. And so the order was making the last Tuesday of the month the regular scheduled meeting of Commissioners Court. And on the county side, under that action, we would be having our meeting at 2 p.m. And so
That's what Commissioner Cantu was really asking, I think, as I recall. Yeah.
And so, yes, I think that's what Commissioner Cantu was asking, and Commissioner Torres was correct on the district side. But on the county side, we do have that action that was taken, which is the last Tuesday of the month. So would the board entertain rescinding the action to have it in the AM and have it on the last Tuesday of the month, September 29th at 1:45 p.m.?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a new motion? Or was that the motion to switch them?
It switched. The motion switched it.
So with the court's permission and Mr. Cecine, your permission, I will communicate to Mr. Villarreal that there was action taken to, there's Mr. Villarreal. There was action taken to go from the AM to PM, which would be Drainage District 1:45 p.m., September 29th. Mr. Villarreal, your mute button is on.
Right there. Yes, we're going to go ahead and change it to 1:45, Mr. Guerra. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Judge Commissioners, Mr. Cecine.
Thank you very much, Valde. If I may, Judge, I'll move on to item 7A.
Please.
A presentation of scoring grade for the purpose of ranking by the Board of Directors of the graded evaluation firm submission response to CSP number ACD 120-038-0729, Delta Region Water Management Project, Panchita Extension Pond 2013 Bond Series. The ranking Science Brothers Construction LLC 8124, Gonzalez Enterprise LLC 7833, Tex Cordia LLC 6552, Jimenez Engineering Solutions DBA Consulting Engineers 6285, RDH Insight and Concrete LLC 6055, 2GS LLC DBA Earthworks Enterprises 5817.
Motion to approve
Second.
as ranked.
We have a motion and a second to approve as ranked. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Pursuant to the board's approval, requesting authority to act under issue 1 to negotiate construction service agreement with the number 1 ranked firm, Science Brothers Construction LLC, for the provision of construction service for Delta Region Water Management Project, Panchita Extension Bond 2013 Bond Series.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D, requesting approval of supplement agreement number 4 to agreement for professional engineering service with LNG engineers that relates to Farmer County and South Florida Water Channel Water Improvements Project to amend the current contract to extend the termination date August 31st, 2021, subject to legal approval and in compliance with House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
8A, requesting approval of closing documents, parcel 18E1 as it relates to project 18, the 2018 bond drainage program, Malone Drive, Palmer Road, project authority of the chairman of the board execute documents subject to final legal review.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, I don't have anything for legal. Ivan, I don't think we have anything in executive session today.
Okay, then I believe that concludes all of our agenda items. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Right. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, again. This is County Judge Richard F. Cortez. On March the 16th of 2020, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to this COVID-19 matter. In accordance with those suspended rules, notice of this meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the commission are not granted or not gathered, in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference or telephone call. The commission is meeting by the use of Zoom software and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communications for members of the public during the public participation forum. This meeting is being broadcast live online. As we would on any other in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions to the meeting notice will be permitted to participate in the public forum portion of the agenda. If you would like to participate in a public forum in a future meeting conducted by video conference or telephone call, please follow the instructions on the posted meeting notice. All other meeting procedures will adhere to the board adopted procedures to the extent possible. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable technical difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate through these unprecedented conditions. The time now is 10:32. We'll start with a roll call with precinct number 1 to establish quorum.
Good morning, David Fuentes, Precinct 1.
Eddie Cantu, Precinct 2.
Ellie Torres, Precinct 4.
Richard Cortez, County Judge, that constitutes a quorum. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me for our prayer. Dear Lord, we ask you to stand by our side during this worldwide pandemic that has placed tremendous strain on our county. We ask that you protect our citizens, healthcare workers, and businesses from this terrible disease. Please continue to be with those who have been affected and heal those that mourn their family and friends who have lost their battle with COVID-19. We ask that you give us the necessary resources to combat this disease and to help guide us in making the best decisions for all Hidalgo County citizens. We ask that you bring our community together and encourage us all to remain hopeful as we march through these unprecedented times. Please bless our county and lead us to recovery. For this we pray in his holy name. Amen. Thank you. We have the approval of the consent agenda.
Judge, Commissioners, with your permission, I would like to take out of order from consent agenda item 9, consent agenda item 9A.
So I'll make a motion to approve the rest of the consent.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the remainder of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, with that being that action being taken, consent agenda item 9A is a dues membership from the Texas Border Coalition. Judge Cortez, I believe that you wanted to make some comments with respect to the Texas Border Coalition.
Yes, there's two organizations that deal with advocating kind of border issues and state issues, mostly dealing with cross-border trade with Mexico. One on the national level is the Texas Border Coalition, which has been around for many, many, many years. And the Texas Border Coalition, which is more of a state agency. The Texas Border Coalition, as you all remember, was an organization started by the Economic Development Corporations here in the Rio Grande Valley to advocate for funding for mostly infrastructure from state government. Usually the fees are based on population. Right now they send us an invoice for $30,000. I think that's a little high for us, certainly with this budgetary problems that we're having. But I think the support of the Texas Border Coalition from Hidalgo County is important for us to support them at some level. Right now, their chairman is County Judge Eddie Trevino. Before him was ex-County Judge J.D. Salinas and others.
What's your recommendation, Judge?
I think $10,000 is a fair amount to give them, which is 1/3 of what they're asking.
I make a motion to that effect.
Second.
As part of the motion, Judge Commissioner, as part of the motion, this would be then subject to funding.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion subject to funding to contribute as dues to the Texas Border Coalition, $10,000. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I do believe that we have people signed up for open forum.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes, Judge. Let me bring in. I have 2 for regular, and I have 8 for item 3A2. Let me bring in the first person by phone. It's going to be Mr. Jesus Mendoza.
Mr. Mendoza, there is, under open forum, there is a 3-minute time limit. I will begin when you begin, Mr. Mendoza, and I will advise.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Under open forum, there is a 3-minute time limit. I will start when you start, and I will advise you when there is 1 minute left.
Thank you very much, sir. This is an open request for recusal from the Patrick Crucius case to the John Bash, U.S. Attorney from the Western District of Texas. Dear Mr. Bash, I respectfully request your recusal from the Patrick Crucius case on the ground that evidence on the record shows your participation with the U.S. Attorney from the Southern District of Texas, Ryan Patrick, with FBI Special Agent in charge in San Antonio, Texas, Christopher Combs, with the Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, with the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, with the Director of the Texas Rangers, Stephen McCraw, with the Hidalgo County Criminal District Attorney, Ricardo P. Rodriguez Jr., and with members of the judiciary to conceal that government-sponsored bullying is provoking children and the disabled to commit mass shootings and other acts of terrorism, to justify the massive and harmful military-grade directed radiation surveillance of schools and even of homes, and to benefit the trillion-dollar wireless industrial complex, on the ground that you fail to investigate and prosecute the government-sponsored bullies that are provoking terrorism, and on the ground that bringing the bullies and their sponsors to justice is necessary to prevent more tragedies against children, the disabled, and against other innocent, defenseless, and unsuspecting victims, as detailed on the relevant and material evidence to the Patrick Crucius case submitted to your office, and on the petition to impeach 3 federal judges, and on other criminal complaints submitted to federal authorities and posted on the case law section of wirelesswatchblog.org. Please share this request with interested parties, including the federal public defenders on the Crucius case.
1 minute.
And with the judges presiding on this case. I am willing to testify before any legislature or court of law to the atrocities being committed against children and against the disabled and other innocent, defenseless, and unsuspecting victims by phone help permitting. A copy and supporting evidence of this document will be submitted to the county judge and to the commissioner. Thank you very much. My name is Jesus Mendoza, and my telephone number is 956-583-7012. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, next will be Ms. Fern.
Ms. Fern, there is a 3-minute time limit. I will advise on open forum. There is 1 minute. I will start when you start, ma'am.
All right. In reference to the property tax rate, I sincerely would not allow any of you to manage my business. The annual budget is constantly modified because there are no actual limits to spending. Personnel is the major budgetary line item and makes up 90% of the budget, and yet it is modified at each meeting. People are hired and raises are given at virtually every meeting. In a county with 40% of its population living in poverty, there has been little or no change in spending because the tax rate can be increased and the property values go up each year. It will be interesting to see how the $360 million in expenditures for the courthouse, the shelter-in-place orders that close businesses and increase property values such as for 8.6%, how this action will impact the economy in Hidalgo County. I also have several questions on your agenda. I hope that you will explain them. On 18C, we're going to buy 5 acres of land. I do not see a warehouse on the property, and there's not an amount on there. Could you please tell us how much that's going to cost us? On 19A, we're going to lease a building for approximately 9 months. This is going to be around $41,000, the best I could figure. 19B1, the old bank buildings across the street, we're going to renovate and remodel them for a emergency operation call center. You know, I've never seen anybody that could spend all this money so easily, just like throwing it in the trash. And the last one is 19F, Precinct 4 is going to spend $135,147 on a mezzanine, whatever it is. It's a second floor on the building. Again, all this is covert money, and I have never seen anyone spend so wildly as you have in these last few months. Can you explain any of these? This is ridiculous how you're spending this money. As I said before, everyone should be given, you want to spend some money, spend it on N95 masks and give it to the public that live in Hidalgo County, the citizens and taxpayers here. No one in this building even has the mask. They've got paper, they've got cloth. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
That's all for this open forum.
Okay. And the next item is 6A. Are you all looking for record? Did we receive the money yet from the Moody Foundation?
No, sir, not yet. That's in transit. And so right now, the discussion would be the distribution of those funds in accordance with the grant covenant.
Has anybody made any recommendations how to do that?
No, sir, I do not believe, and that's.
Why don't we take no action on this and move on?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Next item is going to be 7A, District Attorney's Office.
Good morning, Commissioners. Judge Rosalinda Cantu presenting for the District Attorney's Office. Item 7A, the DA's Border Prosecution Unit Grant Fund 1281. We're requesting approval for the county judge to sign the Public Safety Office Prohibited Telecommunications and Video Surveillance Services and Equipment Certification Form for the BPU grant.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show that it was myself, Commissioner Todes, and Commissioner Cantu. Next item.
Item 7B, the DA's Title 4E Fund 1100. We're asking for approval of the Title 4E grant budget for October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. And we're also asking for approval for County Judge to sign the following documents: the budget and the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act form.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let the record show that Commissioner Fuentes did not vote on this matter. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Judge,
Thank you.
with your permission, item 8A for the county clerk's office. 8A for the county clerk's office would be for the approval to select names to the 2020 Grievance Committee pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 152.015. Judge, Commissioners, the current makeup of the Grievance Committee is comprised of 6 elected officials and 3 public members. The elected officials by statute are the sheriff, county tax assessor collector, county treasurer, the county clerk, the district clerk, and the criminal district attorney, with 3 public members. Does the court wish to keep the same makeup for the 2020 Grievance Committee? The alternate to that would be all public members. And under the statute, the county judge serves as the non-voting chair of the committee.
I believe I'm up, and I'm fine with keeping the board. I'm not sure who the other elected official who's
Okay.
up to decide.
Judge, Commissioners, if that is the case, or if that is the direction with respect to action to be taken to keep the current committee as is, which are the 6 officials that I named, then I would, at this time, with the court's permission, I have an envelope that's been provided to me that I'm opening up with respect to drawing by lot names, the 3 public members, and thereafter 6 alternates. So if the court will permit me.
Sure.
How were the public members' names submitted for that draw?
These are all former grand jurors. That
I
is
see.
true.
Okay.
First name, is Amber Benavides, Weslaco, Texas. Second name, is Lupe Enriquez Jr., Edinburgh, Texas. Third name, Elizar Trevino, Mercedes, Texas. Those will be the 3 as participating members of the committee, and I will choose now 6 alternates. Alternate number 1 would be Sabas Ivan Alfaro Diaz, Edinburgh, Texas. Second alternate, my apologies. Second alternate would be Norma Blasingame, Mercedes, Texas. Third alternate would be Perla Rodriguez, Weslaco, Texas. Fourth alternate would be Nancy Salazar Perez, McAllen, Texas. Our fifth alternate is Monica Manzanare Tijerina, McAllen, Texas. And our last alternate is Gabriel Garcia, McAllen, Texas.
Okay, you need a motion to accept those?
Yes, sir.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 9A, Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, all. Authorization and approval to purchase through the State Texas Federal Surplus Program under Chapter 2175001 of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 262024, one boat in the amount of $700 through the requisition of 419504. And also authorization for purchasing department to issue a purchase order and the county treasurer to issue a check payable to the Texas Facility Commissioners after review, audit, and processing procedures have been completed by the county auditor.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Also, whereas requesting authorization for county judge to authorize official to sign the prohibited telecommunication and video surveillance services and equipment certification form for participation in all federal grants.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you
all I
very
have.
much. Item 10A.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Carlos Gonzalez for Precinct 1 Constables. Item 10A, number 1, discussion, consideration, and approval to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County, acting by and through Constable Precinct Number 1 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health, TTBH, for the fiscal year 2020, September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2021, in relation to safety and security services.
Move for approval.
Second.
You have a motion and second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 2, authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 3, approval of certification of revenues as certified by county auditor in the amount of $78,349 and appropriation of the same.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 10B, number 1, discussion, consideration, and approval to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County, acting by and through Constable Precinct 1 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health, TTBH, for the fiscal year 2020, September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2021, in relation to the Mental Health Officer Program, MHOP.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 2, authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the interlocal agreement terms and conditions.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 3, authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 4, approval of certification of revenues as certified by county auditor in the amount of $250,088 and appropriation of the same.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, with your permission for Constable Precinct 2. Constable Precinct 2, we have the TTBH, Justice Involved Individuals, which is our Fund 1285. Discussion, consideration, approval to enter into an interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County acting by and through Constable Precinct number 2 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health for fiscal year 2020, which commences September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021. This is in relation to the Justice Involved Individuals program.
Father, you want to take all four of them?
Yes, Judge, Commissioners. The second part of this action item would be authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the interlocal agreement terms and conditions, as well as authorization for the county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement. And lastly would be the appropriation of, after certification of revenues certified by the county auditor in the amount of $78,891.
Move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
If I may continue for the constable, this is for their TTBH Mental Health Officer Program. Discussion, consideration, approval to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County acting by and through Constable Precinct number 2 and Tropical Texas Behavioral for fiscal year 2020, which is September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021. This is in relation to the Mental Health Officer Program, as well as authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the interlocal agreement terms and conditions, and asking authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement, as well as the certification of revenues as certified by our county auditor in the amount of $236,471 and appropriation of same.
Move for approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 12A, Constable Precinct 4.
Morning. Good morning, Judge. Commissioners, can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning, Judge. Commissioners, 12A, Constable Precinct 4, Texas Tropical Behavior Security. 1. Judge, you want me to read the whole thing or pause at each one?
Yes, I'll read all four of them.
All right, thank you. 8.1, discussion, consideration, approval to enter into interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County acting by through Constable Precinct number 4 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health for the fiscal year of 2020, September 1, 2020 to August 31st, 2021 in relation to safety and security services. A2, authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement and related documents. A3, approval of certification of revenues as certified by county auditor in the amount of $78,349 and appropriation of the same.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
12B, Judge, Constable Precinct number 4. This involves justice involved individuals. 1285B1, discussion, consideration, approval to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County acting by and through Constable Precinct number 4 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health for the fiscal year 2020, September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2021 in relation to the Justice Involved Individuals Program. B2, authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the interlocal agreement terms and conditions. B3, authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement. B4, approval or certification of revenues as certified by county auditor in the amount of $78,891 and appropriation of the same.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
12C, Constable Precinct 4 that pertains to a mental health officer program. C1, discussion, consideration, approval to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County acting by and through Constable Precinct number 4 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health for the fiscal year of 2020, September 1st, 2020 to August 31st of 2021 in relation to the mental health officer program. C2, authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the interlocal agreement terms and conditions. C3, authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement. C4, approval of certification revenues as certified by the county auditor in the amount of $169,696 in appropriation of the same.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is by the Judge Commissioners. With your permission, I'm going to ask that you please recess the current meeting, open up the 10:45 meeting, recess the 10:45 meeting, and come back to this court session.
Okay. May I have a motion to recess this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're now recessed. Let me go to. I want to call the meeting to order for the special
10:45 a.m. meeting.
Yeah, for the special 10:45 meeting. I have a
Judge, I will ask if you could please call roll call, and then we can recess and come back to our other court meeting.
David Fuentes, Precinct 1.
Eddie Cantu, Precinct 2.
L.A. Torres, Precinct 4.
Rich Cortez, County Judge. You don't want to have open forum?
Judge, yes, if you'd like, we can have open forum.
Well, to let the people go where they need to go.
Mr. Lopez, do we have any participants for open forum?
Yes, sir. Let me bring the first one in. It's going to be Patrick Iranini. Let me go ahead and bring him in. Patrick, sir.
Mr. Iranuni?
Yes.
Mr. Iranuni, there is a 3-minute time limit. I will advise when there is 1 minute. I will start when you start, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to speak now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Patrick. I'm the political director for the Democratic Party. And thank you for considering this very important issue. Based on the evaluations and assessments we've done so far, it's less than $1 per registered resident voter over the age of 65 that we are proposing under this project. This will enable the elderly, especially who are very vulnerable to the COVID pandemic, to stay home and vote safely. I think we all agree that we have to do everything we can to ensure that the elections are not only, basically that everybody participates in the election, but that we can do that safely. And if we're going to comply with the directives from the county judge that encourages everyone to stay home, they don't have to go outside, I think we should all agree to support this proposition. There are already 4 counties that are doing what we're proposing to do. I know I've heard the argument that the Democratic Party from Austin and the Republican Party do mail ballot programs, but I'd like for you to know that they only cover about 20% of those within their group that they believe will vote for them, which means all the independents in the middle are not covered. Our program that we're offering covers everybody, Republican, Democrats, and the 100% of those who may not have voted before by mail ballots in the past. So again, if you look at the costs of this program, which I believe can be covered under the coronavirus funds, under the CARE Act, and the funding from the state to the election department, it's about $55,000 on the maximum side. And if you look at the impact of one person, one elderly person
contracting the coronavirus because they went out and they were forced to go out and cast their mail ballot. It's really not worth it. A lot of us have suffered losses.
1 minute, Mr. Onani.
A lot of us have suffered losses, by people that we know who have died from this virus. So I ask you to please fund this program. There are vendors out there that are willing and able to carry it out very swiftly. We have emailed people, everybody, the county judge, a few of the commissioners that we have the emails, the proposals that we have that can enable us to carry out this project very safely and timely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, we have Norma Ramirez next.
Ms. Ramirez? Ms. Ramirez? Ms. Norma Ramirez? Mr. Lopez, are we having a technical difficulty?
She's not unmuting her phone. It just shows mute right now. She's in the room though. You want me to come back to her? Or?
Ms. Ramirez.
Yeah, let's come
Let's
back.
go to the next one, Mr. Lopez, and then we'll go back to Ms. Ramirez.
Next one is going to be Samuel Reyes.
Mr. Reyes? Mr. Reyes? Mr. Samuel Reyes?
Mr. Reyes, if you're going to mute your phone.
Hello. Yes,
Mr.
hello.
Reyes, thank you. Mr. Reyes, there is a 3-minute time limit, and I will advise when there is 1 minute. Please, I will start when you start.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the court allowing me to speak. I'm speaking on this regarding the application for the mail-in ballots, and I just wanted to point out my position on this. I think it's the responsible thing to do here in a pandemic where we have a lot of uncertainty in these times, that the responsible thing to do is to make sure that as many registered voters as possible vote in November's election. And the one safe way and the reasonable way to do this, which the county is empowered to do and the county has the funds to do, is to send an application for a ballot by mail to all 65 and older registered voters. I think in these times, especially with this pandemic, there's a lot of concerns about our democracy and the strength of our democracy. And of course, the vote is right up there with our security. Without making sure that people can vote, we are essentially compromising our democracy. And this is a very uncertain time. So I think this is something that we can do, that we have the funds to do, and that we should do. Especially people that are 65 and older, that are people that are compromised because of this virus as far as their health and don't want to catch this virus. And we shouldn't want them to catch it, and we shouldn't want them to spread it. So if we have the opportunity and the funds and the ability to do what we can and take steps to make sure that we can get as many people to vote as we can, all we're doing is strengthening our democracy. We're strengthening our society. So, the county needs to consider the cost of people becoming ill, elder people becoming ill, seriously ill, if they get COVID because, they want to vote, they want to exercise their right to vote, and they have to go do this because they don't, because they end up, for whatever reason, not getting a ballot by mail, or it becomes more difficult where they have to jump through more hoops. So I think that I don't understand why somebody would be opposed to this. I understand the elections department may be opposed to this, and I don't understand why. I just think that it's a really common sense, reasonable thing to do, that the county is empowered to do, and the county has the funds to do. So I'm strongly in favor, and I'm strongly urging the commissioner's court to vote yes and to allow and to send out these applications for the ballot by mail to all people that are 65 and older. And I think it's the least we can do, and it's something started, and it's respecting our democracy and our right to vote. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
Thank you.
Lopez? Yes, sir. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, we're going to be going to the hall camera.
Sir, your name for the record?
Cruz Quintana, Jr.
Mr. Quintana, there is a 3-minute time limit, and I will advise when there is 1 minute. I will start when you start.
Thank you, Vale. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Cruz Quintana, Jr., and I'm from San Juan. Respectfully, I would like to discourage you from enabling possible voter fraud and grandma and grandpa vote harvesting. It would be a little disingenuous to claim that mail-in voter fraud does not exist. I know a little bit about it and the mail-in issues in general. I played a small part in the investigation and arrest of the mail carriers in Mission several years ago. I also worked for USPS as an IT consultant. These postal workers and politiqueras were working for specific candidates. You know that this has been a common practice here in the Valley. It has been so common that I wouldn't doubt if you yourselves have possibly been approached to conduct such a strategy in your race. There really isn't a way to prevent a mail carrier to lose a mail-in ballot or an application for that matter. And by the way, when I say ABBM, it means application or absentee ballot by mail. Grandma and grandpa ABBM harvesting are also prevalent. In the last city election cycle, my 90-year-old mom had her ballot picked up by a candidate worker before any family member could help her out. We think it was the mail carrier that advised the politiqueras that mom's ballot was delivered, because it happened right afterwards. My mom believes the candidate was related to us, so she did not want to file a complaint. How many elders do you think were disenfranchised in this manner? How many will be in the future? Surely not just one. And it surely will happen again. I have worked as ballot board judge and clerk. One of the heartbreaking issues we see is technical errors that render ballots ineligible for counting. If this mail out is approved, you will be encouraging voters without any ABBM experience to try and vote. There is a high probability that your good intentions will disenfranchise many new mail-in voters.
1 minute.
Another good intention is the prevention of COVID infections. I have read some articles advising that just the opposite would happen, including some from Dr. Fauci. The elections department should and will train election workers to disinfect, clean, sanitize the equipment and tables, etc. And perhaps the focus should be on curbside this time around. Politiqueras and candidates better have great liability insurance, because what do you think is going to happen when politiqueras go house to house assisting grandma and grandpa? Are they going to be following proper hygiene and infection prevention protocols and wear proper PPE? I doubt it, and I don't think you do either. I'm sure lawyers can make a case of gross negligence and intentional conduct against politiqueras and candidates that hired them. If a politiquera visits and infects my mom and grandparent, you better believe I will take legal action. Just last week, my claims adjuster could not step foot inside my house. They were under strict orders not to.
Mr. Quintana, that's 3 minutes.
In conclusion, we believe that one vote is and one's health is safer by conducting smart and safe in-person elections. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lopez? Your name for the record, sir?
Yes, my name is Robert Bonds, and I am the chairman of the candidate committee for the Hidalgo County Republican Party.
Robert, if I may, there's a 3-minute time limit. I will advise when there is 1 minute. I will start when you start.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. As I said, my name is Robert Bonds. I'm the chairman of the Hidalgo County Republican Party candidate committee, and I appreciate the commission's time and the commissioners taking the time to listen to me. One of the things that I would like to point out to the commission's court is the cost of this mail out is not good financial stewardship. I ran some numbers. We have 70,000 eligible voters for mail-in absentee ballots over age 65. My cost analysis says to do this would cost the county about $40,000. And why should we do that? As it was pointed out in the article in the Monitor, there are other agencies that are doing this. our county elections administrator pointed that out. So we shouldn't be wasting county money on that. What we should be focusing on is safe voting in the county. One of the things that we do know is that we have adequate PPE for our workers out at the polling sites. In fact, we had a good test of how well we can run an election in COVID in the recent primary runoff. It went smoothly. Curbside voting was a big plus to that. And we should emphasize curbside voting so that people do not have to run the risk of exposing themselves. The other thing that we should also publicize is the fact that our governor has extended early voting for an additional week, which again gives people opportunity to go out and vote and exercise their franchise. I'd like to point out that Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is the president's advisor on COVID, has publicly stated over the last week that it is safe to go out and vote. We have the appropriate protections in place, and we've tested them during the primary runoff. That's what we should be doing. We should be focusing county resources on safe voting, utilizing procedures that are in place.
1 minute.
I would just like to wrap up by saying that there are documented problems with U.S. Postal Service and mail-in voting. We're now 2 months past the New York primary, and that is still in chaos. They do not have the primary results there. The Postal Service Inspector General back in July did an in-depth report that was published in the paper about the failures of the United States Postal Service to handle voting in the primary there. Let's stick with a system that is safe, that is proven, and it protects from voter fraud. I thank the Commission for the time to speak today.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, we have next Jim Barnes.
Good morning, Mr. Barnes. There is a 3-minute time limit, and I will advise when there is 1 minute, and I will start when you start, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Judge Cortez, County Commissioner, staff, and guests. My name is Jim Barnes. I'm from Mission. I'm the Hidalgo County Republican Party Elections Committee Chairman. I have been an elections poll worker, ballot board member, and on a couple of elections department committees. Mail-in ballots can be a source expanding voter participation, but with several unintended consequences. You have already heard about ballot fraud, but I will add one note. 3 years ago, the Texas legislature voted to change ballot fraud charges from a misdemeanor to a felony. This should make the pursuit of cases more appealing to district attorneys. Last spring, a district attorney's office in the Valley had 18 months backlog of cases. This is only after 36 months of it being a felony. Another issue is delay in mail-in ballots being delivered by the post office. In this year's Clark County, Nevada primary, 223,000 ballots were not deliverable. That is 1 out of every 6 mail-in ballots. 500,000 applications in Virginia were undeliverable, including to deceased voters. New York's botched June 23rd primary, 20% of the mail-in ballots were rejected a month after Election Day, and they were still coming in. The Postal Service has advised that in 46 states, mail-in ballots will not be delivered in time. I've heard the complaints that the Postal Service needs billions of dollars to be ready for Election Day. The Obama administration thought blue mailboxes were inefficient and began removing them. They started a closure of post offices in the United States.
1 minute.
Now we're just going to throw taxpayer money at the problem to fix it. This court wants to throw money at a problem and bail out applications to 70,000 voters over 65 to improve voter turnout. In the Elections Commission meeting, the discussion got on the health of our citizens. The Elections Department has sufficient PPE and a plan. Let's follow it. Curbside voting has always been an option. We need to emphasize its ease of use and how it works. Also, countywide voting allows voting at any location on election day. I've been told follow the science. Dr. Fauci thinks there's no problem with in-person voting. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you for your time and for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, next we have Ms. Garza.
Ms. Garza, there is a 3-minute time limit. I will advise when there is 1 minute. I will start when you start.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge, Commission, and members of our community. My name is Adrian Pena Garza, and I am the chair of the Hidalgo County Republican Party. But I was also born and raised in Hidalgo County, and I love this community. I've always felt passionately about fair and honest elections. I'd like to humbly ask for you to consider not proceeding with sending applications by mail to 65 or older and without the voter requesting it. I believe we do a disservice to our community when we do things without considering ramifications. This is the first time that we've done this that I know of. Voting by mail isn't safe, and this really isn't news either. This is a cost we can't afford. The GOP would like clarification on how the elections office will send applications to the voters. The elections office legal duty is to ensure each voter is qualified to vote by mail. If the application will be pre-filled, the county will be wearing 2 hats and pre-qualifying the application. This complicates the process. Who is liable if there is an issue of voter qualification? 70,000 is a very large and costly task, especially pre-qualifying each application. This to me higher the probability of voter fraud. I'd like to see our county on a state and national level media in a positive light and not in any more negative. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lopez?
Yes, next we have Fern.
Good morning, Ms. Fern. There's a 3-minute time limit, and I will advise you 1 minute.
Commissioners, in reference to the idea of sending out unsolicited ballot requests to all elderly voters over the age of 65 is just like placing a target on their back. The only thing that would be worse would be to follow up by placing their name and addresses in the newspaper. That would make it much easier for all good Samaritans to help the elderly make the right voting decision. I would also like to know about all the dead that have died from the virus. Page after page in the monitor. Are these people going to receive one of these in the mail? Because I assure you they're not off the voter registration list. No, this is not a good idea, and we all know why it is being proposed. Everyone needs to vote the same rules, and if grandma and grandpa want to vote, the families and friends need to take them through the drive-through, curbside voting. They don't even have to get out of their car. If you need further convincing that this is not a good idea, all you need to do is volunteer and participate on the ballot board. It may take weeks to count the votes. People forget how to spell their name. Their signatures do not match. Sometimes they don't even sign them. And you end up guessing at the intent of the voter. And finally, there is the post office where automation is not perfect. They may or may not get there and get here on time. What is a few weeks late? So what? The post office states don't send cash in the mail. Why is this? You want to send a birthday card to your grandchildren or your children with a cash inside, but the post office says no. Again, why? I constantly get other people's mail. Every day I get someone else's. So how many of these are not going to be delivered to the right address? You need to, if you're going to do this, and the elderly, which is 65 and older, if they are so impaired about voting, when they have extra time, we got masks, we got 6 foot apart, then you need to close every grocery store. You need to close Walmart, Target, because these same elderly people are always in there buying toilet paper, milk, and bread. So if you're going to do this and do it fair, then pay attention, because even the post office in the same front page of the newspaper said they cannot guarantee you that they can get the voting ballot back. So this is the most stupidest thing I have ever heard. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lopez, were we able to get Ms. Norma Ramirez?
Let me see if I can bring her back in.
Oh, it just irritates me.
2687.
Hello.
Ms. Ramirez?
Good morning.
Good morning. There is a 3-minute time limit, and I will advise when there is 1 minute. I will start when you start.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I am glad to know that everyone is healthy and safe, and thank you all for what you do for our county. I am humbly asking the Commission to please help by continuing and keeping our community safe. The mail ballot applications are very important to our elderly, and it is important that we work extra hard this year to make sure the county sends the proper message to our community. Every vote counts. We must work extra hard this year. The Elections Department should not depend on others to do the work that it is responsible for. Instead, the Elections Department should be working extra hard to make sure we increase our voter turnout. We all know that our numbers are not the best at the polls. Increasing voter turnout lies on the shoulders of this county commission. I beg and pray that you will help this county by allowing the elderly to vote from home where they are safe. If we want to repeat the low voter turnout, then do nothing, and those consequences will show in November, especially with this horrible pandemic, where the statistics are telling us that our death rate in Hidalgo County is 45 to 50% higher than the other counties in the state of Texas and the nation. Well, how much is the cost of one life? I ask you and I tell you, 60, 80, or 100,000 is our lives are worth more than that because it is COVID related. We should be able to find the funds to pay for that program. And by the way, we are all safe right now, working away from where we can be together. I'll ask you to please allow our elderly to do the same. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. And I ask all of you to please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lopez?
That's all we have.
Thank you, sir. Judge?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for us to go back to the regular agenda and come back to this one. You want let's just, the commissioners agree. You want to just go ahead and finish this the special meeting?
Sure.
Okay, so let's have the elections administrator give us an election update.
Yes. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. This is Yvonne Ramon with the Elections Department with election updates. Number one, I'm very proud of everyone that is speaking today because the word application is being used correctly instead of ballot. But I would like to just press on that a little bit so that our community that is listening understands that the discussion today has to do with the application that is being sent or requested by our voters that are either 65 or older or disabled. And there are other reasons as well. But in no way should they think that that is the number of ballots that are being sent out. We are talking about the application to request a ballot by mail. So I wanted to point that out. The second thing I'd like to point out is that we in the Elections Department are here to follow and administer whatever this Commissioner's Court decides. We are here to administer and do as you ask us to do, and we will follow through and we will make sure that it is done to the best of our ability and done well. Another thing that I'd like to bring up is the preventive COVID-19 measures will continue to be implemented for all election workers, as well as our voters that show up and do not have the appropriate PPEs. There were a few articles that were written during the primary runoff that kept saying that we wouldn't provide, and we do. We will provide a mask and gloves. We have extra PPEs on hand, so any voter that comes to the poll location, we are there to serve them. I am working with the regional United States Postal Service manager from this area. And as of this morning, he was very happy to report that our McAllen plant managers are stating that so far all the machines are up and running in this area. We are doing well. Nothing has been removed, no boxes, no sorters or anything. So at least for this area, things are going well. Now, the governor's proclamation, again, I talked about that last week, talked about not only extending the early vote, but also extended the opportunity for a voter to be able to come to this office and drop off their mail ballot. The law states that they can do this on election day, but for this election, it's extended to as soon as the voter gets that ballot, fills it out, they are then able to come to 213 South Gloucester Boulevard here in Edinburgh and drop it off. Because of that, and because I want to mention this several times, voter ID will be required. That is something different from the regular law for mail ballot, where it's not required to show an ID, but on election day, and now anytime that the voter comes to deliver their mail ballot himself or herself, voter ID will be required. So make sure we're prepared for that. So we have been getting calls. And so for those that can go into the office, what I am planning to do is to have secure ballot boxes here in the office, and I hope to work with the city so that the parking spaces in front of the office will be designated for mail ballot drop-off. So the voter can park easily, walk into the office, show their voter ID, and then drop their ballot in the secure ballot box. But I'm also getting calls from those voters that cannot physically get off their car. So we're going to set up kind of like what we do for curbside voting, but instead it's going to be set up with a buzzard where we're going to have designated parking. The voter will buzz and park, and that will alert us here in the office. We will then send a team outside to check voter ID, and we'll send a secure ballot box outside so that the voter himself or herself can actually drop the ballot in a box. So we're working on all those things to make sure that we are very prepared in case there is an increase of dropping off your ballot in the main office. Again, very important that I mention for those that are listening that there will be no straight party voting. So expect either by personal appearance at a polling site, or if you request your ballot by mail, this will be required now that you vote race by race. No longer will there be that option where you just fill in your choice of party. So please, please be prepared. We ask that we will be sending out press releases as soon as the sample ballots are online so that everyone can review their sample ballot before they head out to the polls. So that's going to be very, very important. A question that I may be asked is, well, when will the ballot be sent to the voter? When will the ballot be prepared? We always target the 45-day before election day, which this time will be September the 19th. It's on a Saturday, and we always try to make it on a Friday because that is a federal mandate. By that date, that ballot needs to have been sent out to our military and to any overseas voter that is outside the United States. So that for us is a key deadline. We want to work hard to make sure that the regular applications for ballot by mail are also being processed and that ballot is also being sent. Because if there is one guideline and one suggestion that is being said is request your mail ballot early, and then once you get your ballot, send it back quickly because of the issues that we are all reading about that could possibly then hinder our mail ballots to be delayed and possibly not delivered timely. So we want to make sure that our cities and schools, as of yesterday was the deadline for a candidate to apply into our cities or our schools or our water districts. So we're anxiously awaiting reports from a possible 30 additional elections to be on the ballot. And so we very respectfully and graciously ask that they submit all their information timely, because if one of those cities or one of those schools or water districts holds back on submitting the information so that we can prepare their ballot, that will hold the entire ballot back. So we're working hard to make sure that everyone understands what is required from each and every entity that will be running and from the elections department. So any questions on what I have reported? Okay, thank you. Then I will go to item number 2. And that is discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the Elections Department to send an application for ballot by mail to all 65 and older registered voters of Hidalgo County.
What's the recommendation of the Elections Committee, Ms. Owen?
The recommendation from the County Election Board was for this Commissioner's Court to approve the mail out of an application to all those that are 65 and older.
And what is your recommendation? One.
You know, as I stated, right now we have 6,530 annual applications filed. Out of those 6,530, we've got 6,298 that are already on file that are 65 and older. Just so that you all are informed, there is a Center for Voter Information that is already sending out applications. We've already received a little over 800. The issue there is that out of those 800, almost 400 are duplicates. And so in working outside the scope of the election department, and if you just send out a mail out of anyone 65 and older, you will find yourself possibly duplicating this application. And as I mentioned in the county election board meeting, every single election has to be processed. And so right now we find ourselves with other entities also sending mail ballot applications. We're just about at 900. And as I said, almost 400 of those are duplication. So they're being sent out to the same voter. We are getting those calls from the elderly that are concerned because they thought they were already registered with an annual and now they're getting another application. And this is what we want to try to do as the elections department, to put that word out, to do public information, stories and sending out in the social media so you all can help us spread the word so that everybody is informed and everybody understands the law and the system, and we can all work together with the community. So my opinion, Judge, is I will do as this court mandates that I do, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to make sure that our community is being served and served well. So does anyone have any questions or opinions?
Yes, I have a question. Did any of the local entities like school districts that have election in November, have they reached out and voiced a concern one way or the other?
Entities that, excuse me, sir, what was that again?
Entities that are having elections this November, including school districts and cities, have they reached out and given you their opinion one way or the other?
No, sir, they have not. Okay. No, they have not.
I have a question, Ms. Ramon.
Yes.
Has this ever been done before? Has Hidalgo County ever sent out an application like this in the past?
No. In fact, no county had ever sent out as applications, but due to the circumstances, and these are, challenging and unique circumstances, there are other counties that did do that during the primary runoff, but no, Hidalgo County has never.
Ms. Ramon, I have a question. How many anticipated or how many registered voters over the age of 65 do we have?
Okay, right now we have, as of just a few moments ago, 69,438. Right under, that's why I'm rounding off to 70,000.
So 69,438, and you say about 65 of them, 6,500 have already applied for the annual application by mail sometime this year, whether it was in the primary. I guess it would have been the primary because we didn't have made local elections.
That's correct.
Or maybe in the runoff, I guess, for the primary. So you're looking at a net 63,000 more or less applications that you're anticipating, because I wouldn't expect us to send them to people who already have an annual application already filed, correct?
And that's a really good statement, Commissioner, because that's what we're doing right now. We're working with our vendor to make sure that we can filter these out. And I'm sure we can, so that we ourselves are not sending out duplicate applications, which would not be acceptable.
What other entities, because I know earlier this year that the parties, the state parties were sending out applications or application by mail.
That's correct.
Mailers. Are they doing that again this time in the general?
You know that we are getting some, we've got a little under 50 applications that are exactly the same as one of the parties. So we, although they're not identified this time around, we do recognize it as coming from the state. And then we have that Center for Voter Information, and they are the ones that have sent out over that we have received. I don't know how many they've sent out, but we've already received over 800 from them. And right under 400 of theirs are duplicates because they're just sending out to the mass.
Okay.
We've got Patriots Foundation is another organization. And so far that's it. A state party, Patriots Foundation, and Center for Voter Information.
So out of the 63,000 potential applications that you may mail, depending on our action, what's the cost of that?
And the gentleman who spoke is exactly right. We're looking at around $40,000.
And this funding would come from where?
Again, this Hidalgo County is responsible for all costs related to the general election. It would come from the general budget.
Ms. Ramon, could you provide some context for the commissioners and give us perhaps some 2016 presidential election numbers?
Yes, sir. So in 2016, we had not approximately, the numbers are exact. We had 44,449 registered voters that were 65 and older. Out of those 44,449, 2,118 voted. Out of those 2,118 that voted, only 173 voted by mail back then. So we definitely have had an increase in registered voters 65 and older. The majority of them voted early vote, and a small number voted during election day. So when we compare 2016 to 2020, we can definitely see an increase of registered voters. In fact, overall, we are over 380,000 registered voters. So there's definitely an increase in participation of our community.
Well, the concern that at least the people that spoke to us today, and the concern of everybody, should be, again, the opportunity for fraud. And I have heard different, positions as to how easy it is to commit fraud, as opposed to how hard it is to commit fraud. What is your opinion about that?
My opinion is it is not easy to commit fraud. The Texas Election Code sets very, very strict guidelines. The ballot board, which is of course selected by the two major parties, have their people that are ballot board members there every single step of the way. It is not the elections department that oversees paper ballots or provisional ballots. It is actually this ballot board. So they are able to view every single envelope, every single application, compare to the envelope, compare signatures, and then make a decision as to the acceptance or rejection of the ballot. So the guidelines are there, the laws are there. To me, in Hidalgo County, the system is safe and secure, and we're ready to do as this court asks us.
Okay, well, I have another question. One of my goals, because we have such a high amount of people for the county, for our goal for the county, is to try to reduce the poverty rate, because we have such a high number of people in poverty, and people in poverty put a tremendous amount of burden on government, because they used to go to government for assistance. That's why the census is very important, that we get everybody counted and etc. But because we do have a high number of people in poverty, usually sometimes they may either be illiterate, they may not know any English, they may not have transportation, yet they're Americans and they're eligible to vote. So how does a person that doesn't speak English, doesn't have an automobile, is over 65, how does that person practice the most sacred right that Americans have to vote? How does that person do it?
Well, if they are 65 and older, we get plenty of calls from people asking us to mail them an application, and we even take time. I've gotten so many compliments from my staff that answers the phones, that are helping people fill out and understand what is in front of them, any type of application. And so that to me is done already. We assist our community in that way.
I'm shocking the analysis to say and to admit that this person does not speak English. So here may be a ballot that may be in English or maybe bilingual, I don't know, and is illiterate, yet this person wants to vote. then how can this person legally vote?
The Texas Election Code addresses that, because whether it's with a mail ballot or at the poll location, the law allows for assistance. The law allows for assistance if a person is not able to read or mark the ballot. The whole entire ballot can be read to them, and the law even allows for a person to mark the ballot for them. That's always a misinformation that the assistant can only read the ballot. No, if the voter necessitates the need to also mark the ballot, then that assistance by law can do that. Now, the law also asks for information from this assistant. You know, you cannot just go and fill out somebody's ballot. You are able then to, you have to fill out your assistance area where you yourself have to identify yourself as far as assisting the voter.
Well, the reason I ask those questions is because there is abuse, and I mean, there has to be some abuse, you know, somewhere and whatever. And the opportunity for abuse isn't stopped because someone requested a mail-in ballot. That was the whole point I was trying to make. That if somebody wants to do something that is wrong, something that's outside the rules, the fact that we mail someone a mail-in ballot or not is not going to stop that person from doing it. So the question is, as far as for those that are concerned about irregularities in the process, if we were to mail this mail-in ballots, is that going to increase the opportunity for wrongful doing, in your opinion?
As you stated, Judge, for those that want to do wrong, they're going to do wrong. What I always ask is for our communities to step in. I have been a speaker at many organizations that ask me these questions, and I turn it right around and I ask them, what are you doing? If you don't believe in assistance, if you don't believe in bringing the elderly to the poll locations, is that now what you are doing to make sure that this doesn't happen? And I think it is the responsibility of the entire community, each and every one of us, to try our very best to not allow this to happen, to reach out to those that we know that are elderly, to reach out to those that we ourselves can help, and start this chain of assistance where we do everything. Because one department and one elections administrator, I cannot do that alone. It takes all of us.
I think that the good thing is that the laws have already changed, and they've made it more punitive for people to take advantage of picking up ballots. And so if you have, my understanding is if you have 2 ballots or more than 2 ballots, it's criminal.
Yes, sir.
And they've made it very punitive. So I think people are aware of that, and they're less willing to pick up, 20, 30 ballots like they used to. So I think that has lessened, but whatever the wishes of the board.
That's exactly right.
Yvonne, I know that a lot of the public comments that we had, a lot of the concerns that were raised were safety and COVID. Commissioner Torres asked if we had ever done this before, and the answer was no. Is this specifically in response to COVID?
The possibility of sending out these applications is in response to COVID. The state, again, there are no statutes that address it either way. And so the Secretary of State then sets it back into the authority, which in this case is this commissioner. So yes, it is in response to COVID, and absolutely, we've never done this before.
So hopefully in 4 years, we're not having to do this again.
That's what we hope.
And I already know that our attorneys know where I'm going with the COVID.
Yes, we don't know. We're just prepared as best as we can be, as we were for the primary runoff. We're definitely prepared to do the same. And again, a shout out to the poll workers that come out and help us, because without them, this is not possible.
We know that the elderly are the most at risk. Josie, is there anything we can do?
Well, definitely, we're looking at increasing the PPEs. I did have a great conversation with our health director, Eddie, and he was talking about the safety of the mask, which is in fact the one that I was wearing. And this is the kind of mask with a shield that we provide for our poll workers. And he does say that this has been the safest. So we provide, what I'd like to do is provide more. And so we're looking at the possibility of, instead of, one mask for every other day, maybe providing more masks and more of the PPEs that we already have on hand. We did get the plexiglass, and that will help the inside of a polling location. But again, the more susceptible will be outside and curbside voting. We do ask the community that if they do find themselves COVID ill, there are emergency procedures where you can vote on election day and provide that form. We're increasing our curbside. Every single polling location will have a curbside team. We've had that for a while, but we're asking the community, if you're available to work, please call us 318-2570 and help us train you already, so that if we do have a need, we are not finding ourselves short of help. That will be the greatest endeavor of our community, is to reach out and help us to be safe and to make sure that every poll location remains open.
Thank you, Ms. Ramon. Josie, from the legal counsel side.
Commissioner, I think I know where you were going with the use of COVID funds. Is that what you were hoping to be able to use?
Well, just asking about the CARES Act, since it is a response to the COVID. If the other 4 counties in the state of Texas that took action like this, if they use that money for this, or if it was something that came out of their general funds.
Yeah, there's no clear guidance right now whether or not COVID funds could be used for this purpose. And just to caution you, there were several other counties that tried to unilaterally mail out applications for ballots by mail, and that case is currently pending before the Texas Supreme Court. But that was not a targeted mail out to those age 65 and older. So that is the only issue out there.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve mailing out the ballots. Is that your recommendation, right, Ms. Ramon? Just a yes or no? Yes, okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Ramon.
4A.
Mr. Longoria?
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Jaime Longoria with the Hidalgo County Community Service Agency. So item 4A is a report and update regarding the Hidalgo County CARES Rent and Mortgage Assistance Program. Judge and Commissioners, I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and share this PowerPoint and see that this works. So this is my first attempt at this, so I'm hoping this will work. Does that pull up the rent and mortgage screen on? Are you all able to see that, Commissioners, Judge?
I'm not seeing it.
No.
Okay, I'm doing something wrong.
To share your screen.
Boy,
at the bottom.
That would be a revelation. God, we've never heard of that.
Yes, Judge. I'm hitting the green button and I can't seem to pull it up for some reason. Try it again. Is that it? Nope.
No, sir.
I've got technical difficulties. I apologize, Commissioners and Judge. I'll go ahead and speak from my PowerPoint here. Judge, Commissioners, as you all recall, back in June of this year, Commissioners Court authorized the formation of the COVID rent and the CARES Rent and Mortgage Program. It was a program that was designed to provide assistance to families that were affected by COVID, either through illness or through loss of wages because of COVID, and help them through the rent and mortgage payments. You all authorized $7.5 million to be earmarked towards helping a total of about 4,000 families. The original model called for a county-wide program, and as the negotiations move further on, the eligibility requirements, because the cities opted to to take their money and run their own programs. The program then became a rural-based program only. And as you recall, so by mid-June, I went ahead and hired staff, and we began training the staff. And by July the 9th, exactly almost a month to the day last week, the agency had placed workers in the 4 precinct offices, and we had opened a call center to go ahead and start taking applications. I wanted to share with you what the fruits of those labors are and really some of the challenges that we've experienced going forward with our rent and mortgage program. Initially, as we anticipated, we received a whole lot of applications on the front end. We received to date, actually to July 31st, we received 1,666 applications. That's 1,666 applications. Of those applications, I'm saddened to say that about 76% of those applications came directly from applicants that were in the city limits, in the corporate limits of a city. That's about 1,274 applications. That left us with a balance of approximately 400 applications, give or take a few. We've been able to process 189 of those applications, and we've been able to allocate about $159,091.81 to those families. There's 203 applications that we're still working with in terms of providing assistance in gathering documentation. Now, keep in mind that rent and mortgage payments go directly to the mortgage holder or to the landlord in the case of rental assistance. So once again, we've allocated a little bit shy of $160,000. We're 1 month in. As a director of the program, one of the things that I wanted to look at was what are the reasons that applications are being denied. We've got like I said, a 76% denial rate. And I wanted to make sure and share with you all the reasoning behind that. And of course, it's not rocket science. 94% of the applications that were denied are denied because these are families that live inside city limits, inside the corporate limits of a city. The rest range from families are over income, families refuse to turn in all of the documents. Some of the families just refused services after they got into the process, and some of the families just applied erroneously. So the other thing I wanted to do by this program is by this presentation, I wanted to share with you some of the ideas for being able to boost the assistance rates, if you will. As you recall, there was criteria that we set right from the very beginning that kind of helped us to shape the eligibility requirements for this program. Number one, families needed to live in the rural areas of the county. Secondly, they had to have been affected by COVID-19, either financially or through illness. And thirdly, they had to qualify as per income. They had to be below 200% of federal poverty. A family of 4, 200% of federal poverty is about $52,400. So one of the ideas that staff came up with to increase participation, if that's what the court wishes to do, would be to increase the level of the federal poverty level and go from 200%, for instance, to 300% of federal poverty. So that same family of 4 would be at 300% of federal poverty. It'd be $26,000 times 200, which is, I don't have the numbers here in front of me. I should have done that math before this. But it's 26,000 times 300. Let me give that for you.
78.
That's right, $78,000. So that family, same family of 4 would go to $78,000. So that would be one recommendation that I would have if the court wished to do that. Now, we have come across families that have just barely missed the cutoff at 200%. And in some instances, I've asked families whose economic situation has changed over the last few months is to come back and apply again and provide us fresh numbers in terms of what their incomes are. So for those families, raising the income threshold would allow us to be able to capture some of those families.
Jaime, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So like you said, most of these people that aren't qualifying, it's because they live in the city. And so this is kind of happening in the small grants also, and that we the precincts and the county are not doing a good enough job of getting the word out to the people that qualify. So I would hate to change anything other than we need to do a better job marketing. And maybe we can spend money in marketing. Maybe we could get people to take the message out. Maybe it is that people that live in a mobile home and they make a monthly payment to the owner of the lot. Maybe they don't understand that to be a mortgage. It is.
Right.
So it just like our business program, I believe that this program is a lack of marketing, because you're not telling us that you had 20,000 people from the rural that didn't qualify. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
You're saying we had 400 from the rural, 50% qualified. So even if all 400 qualified, we'd never spend this money. So I believe that it's us not getting the message out to the community. And so I would hate to change that until we have an influx of applicants that aren't qualifying for what you're saying because they make too much money or so.
Right. And I was gonna mention that, Commissioner, that was actually number 4 on my list, was to go out into the community and to really hit it hard in terms of providing information. And we've done what we could, English and Spanish. Now keep in mind, our attention turned a little bit from the program because of Hurricane Hannah. And so we, within our office, our efforts changed dramatically during that 2-week period of Hurricane Hannah. So I agree with you.
It happened to all the precincts, especially 1 and 4. They had to change their focus, right? So we all have caught up for the most part, right? We can get out there and get the word out, because Olivia was in a recent call last week, and this is going to go on to the rest of the year. This is only going to get worse. So I'd hate to change, and give people that shouldn't qualify for this money. And we're going to have a lot of people 200% qualifying, throughout the rest of the year. This problem isn't ending. It's just going to get worse. We just need to do a better.
Absolutely. I agree.
Mish, I agree with you. Couldn't agree more, because I was actually going to say that it seems to me that the frequency of application is really the issue here, is that we don't have enough applicants. At our food drives and at the different distributions that we've done, we've tried to pass out the website, the place to go get the availability of the different programs that we're offering. And it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of engagement by the people to take advantage of the programs. One question I did have for you, Jaime, is how many applications do you have sitting in the pipeline as potential approvals? Do you see that there's an increase in the number of applications you're receiving, or is it pretty steady?
No, we've had a little bump in applications post Hannah now, and actually the quality of the application in terms of viability has improved. So where at the beginning we were getting a lot of city applications, now we're getting a lot of applications that are more viable to us, that are rural only. So I think word is starting to get out a little bit.
So and that's just an idea. If you guys do food drives or you do something where you're engaging out in the community, take little flyers, little handouts, and hand them out to people with the hidalgocares.gov, right? I think that's,
yes,
or org, or which one is it? We're trying to spread the word. So just keep sharing any information you have with us. And I agree with Kamish. We'll keep pressing that message out in our 1 Minute News and all the different publications we have.
Do you all on the precincts have a way to mass distribute information to the people in your precincts in the rural areas?
The only other way, Judge, that I would say is engage the school districts to pass along robo messages, emails, text messaging. If you have something, we have an interlocal for health and safety for all of our school districts. If we get with their social workers and with the superintendents, I bet we could get a massive outreach if we were to engage the schools to help pass this message along.
I think we could also use, we all know how to run campaigns, but I think we can also use like 4x4s and 4x8s, with a clear message, and put them out in the rural areas where there's a lot of rural residents. So we have a lot of rural traffic. I think
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Jaime, you might want to even, sorry, Kamish, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You might want to make like a 10, 15 minute PSA. A lot of the school districts and cities have their own video departments, and they can add that in maybe their rotation. Maybe talk to the, a lot of times radio stations and TV stations will pass along these messages, especially if it's a community engagement type program. Maybe we could do some outreach like that. So,
yes, and I agree with Commissioner Cantu in terms of many people don't understand that the lot, that they may own the trailer, but the lot that it sits on, they're making payments on that, and that constitutes a mortgage. And I think there's going into those areas, absolutely, it could be very beneficial to a lot of those families.
I'd like to add that I think that with this whole HANA crisis that we went through, I think there's going to be a lot more people that were impacted by that could possibly qualify. And so we do need to do a better job in getting that message out there of what's available to them.
Yeah, I'll be honest with the commissioners and the judge is that it's not like us to lag in spending. So you can understand my haste in wanting to report to the court and getting some very good ideas to be able to move this money because we want to be able to help as many families as we possibly can, as was y'all's intent in the formation of this program.
And I might disagree with any of the commissioners what they said about not liberalizing the requirements, but instead of going 300, I mean, do you think if you go to 250% of poverty, is that an option?
Absolutely. I've never been an all or nothing kind of.
Would you all consider that, commissioners?
That would put us at about what?
2.5%. That would be family of four.
Well,
65.
52 and 13, about 60.
65.5. That's also, a possibility. Absolutely. Is tweaking those guidelines, or they can remain the same.
I don't have a problem with the judge. I just wanted to address that the issue was marketing, but I don't.
No. I think if we can gain more people, or we can do 225. We can do 225. You're going to bring it down to 6,000, so you're down to somewhere in the high 50s, I think.
I think Jaime has said that he's got a lot of people that are right on the other side of that line, and if we increase it a little, we'll increase the qualification of certain families who are right there and have a tremendous.
Let's go with 225. Let's go with
225 would be 58,950.
I love Commissioner Cantu's idea about those 4x8s, and
yes, sir.
I love the idea about contacting the schools. I mean, this is really being now, really proactive. I know I went into an interview with Univision, and they were asking me questions, and guess which question I got the most? What programs do you have? So I think that part of the problem is communication, is lack of knowledge that we have this.
Yeah, we need to get on Televisa, Univision, all the Mexican channels, and radio and TV. They're really good at spreading the word.
Absolutely. I was on the radio last night with a Spanish radio station, and I think that's a very good idea.
Aside from the PSAs and things of that nature, I think people need to have a visual. I know that as I drive through the city of Edinburgh, I see a lot of their signs, and I can't help but look at the sign and read it over and over again. So I think that the visuals out there in the rural community would definitely help, as well as partnering with the school districts, because they do know where the vulnerable families are, and passing that word along through their systems, should they partner with us in that aspect, would also assist us in accomplishing what we want to do, and that is to help our community and help our families.
I bet a lot of Title I, state compensatory, migrant programs, they have, I'm sure, a long list of people that might qualify.
I'll get a flyer started and have the chief share it so we get it ready. Maybe by the end of the week, we can send it out to the schools and create 4x8s and put them up.
But maybe even a script in English and Spanish so that they can have a recording and send out those robocall messages.
That'll work.
And the signage needs to be bilingual. And I wouldn't put it on the same sign, but rather two signs.
Okay.
May I have a motion for the 225 then, if you all agree?
Second.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioner. We'll make those changes and we'll start to develop this media campaign.
Okay.
Item 4B is discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the information sharing agreement of the Federal Emergency Management Agency for the purpose of providing emergency services to households affected by disasters of county year 2019. What this is, Commissioners and Judge, this is an information sharing agreement, a memorandum that's being reviewed by legal with FEMA that allows us to access the FEMA data bank as far as what services have been received by those families. And then we're able to provide services to families that didn't receive FEMA assistance for those disasters in 2019.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then authorization for myself, Jaime Luna, to sign any and all pertinent documents. This is an electronic signature.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, I think that concludes all of the special meeting agenda items. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're now adjourned. I call the meeting of our Commissioners Court back to order. I believe we left 13A will be the next one. Is that correct, Walde?
Yes, sir, it is. Do we have Constable Marichalar on the line? Judge, Commissioners, then with your permission and on behalf of Constable Marichalar from Precinct 5, it is his TTBH, Juvenile Involved in Individuals account, Fund 1285. Discussion, consideration, approval to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County, acting by and through Constable Precinct Number 5 and Tropical Texas Behavioral Health for fiscal year 2020, commencing September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021, in relation to the Justice Involved Individuals Program, as well as authorization to pay overtime reimbursable under the interlocal agreement terms and conditions, and authorization for county judge as authorized official to execute the interlocal agreement with the approval of certification of revenues as certified by our county auditor in the amount of $157,681 and appropriation for same.
Move for approval. Second.
Have a motion second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Villarreal.
Right here. Okay, thank you. The next item is the submission of the 2020, what it's called now, the no new revenue tax rate. Before it used to be the effective tax rate rollback. And the rollback tax rate now is now called the voter approval tax rate. Mr. Guerra, I don't know if Sergio's there, but if you look at the governing body summary for the county, the no new revenue tax rate is 0.6058 this year. The voter approval tax rate, which is a rollback rate, which is the highest you can go, is 0.6220. So right now, what I'd like to do is see what the county judge and commissioners is going to propose as your tax rate. And whatever you propose, then at that point, I'll let you know if, as long as we don't exceed the 0.6058, we don't have to have a public hearing. So it's open to see what the proposed tax rate is.
You're on mute, Valde.
Judge, let me get Sergio on the line for you.
Paul, is this something we have to decide today?
Yes, you have to decide on the proposed tax rate.
Oh, proposed. It's still tentative.
Proposed tax rate.
Right. So it's really for discussion only. Okay.
Judge, just remember that whatever proposed rate we use right now, we can go lower at any point when we set the tax rate, but we can't go higher So if we were to, right now, the tax rate is 57.5 cents per $100 of valuation. We can keep that same tax rate, but we can't go higher. If we were to sort of entertain maybe a tax rate of 59 cents, which is what we had a couple of years ago and what we've had, since 2004, the court could always elect to keep the 57.5 cent, or they could elect to have anything within that 59 cents. As far as for the budget, for myself, I would recommend that perhaps we do elect the proposed tax rate of the 59 cents. At least the court will have that tax rate increase to consider during the budget process. Not that we would do it, but at least that could still be an option for the court.
Sergio, at 57.5, we would still have additional revenue over what we had last year. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
And what is your prediction on how much additional revenue it would create based on the prior years?
Based on the 57.5, I had estimated that we would roughly have about $7 million in additional tax revenue. However, the collection percentage that the auditors is going to be using for the ensuing tax year is going to be probably at 94%. They'll probably reduce it from 95 to 94. So that will reduce our available resources. And then again, we do have a lot of our other revenues that we have reductions on, such as court fees, motor vehicle registrations that could be impacted for next year, a motor vehicle sales tax. So we have various revenues that we will have a shortfall for this year and for next year. And that's why I would want the court to have at least that flexibility to discuss, any type of increase to the tax rate, at least have that as an option during the budget process.
The only thing, I follow you, Sergio. I just don't want to add. I don't want our expenses to increase in what's happened in the 5 years I've been here. Usually that comes from hiring new people. I understand not having some revenues that we've had in the years past because of COVID, and we got to figure out how to make up that money. But I don't want to figure out how to make up that money and then hire a bunch of people anyway. And so that's my only concern. That's what I like to guard against every year. With that being said, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation as far as for this exercise for a proposed tax rate, I would be recommending to the court that perhaps you elect a 59 cent or if not a 58 cent proposed tax rate. We go through the exercise of the budget process, and then on the September 29th, we would have our public hearing, and then at that point, set the rate. I think we can work through this at the 57.5 at the current tax rate. I think we can work through our budget process and keep it at that. I would just like to have that flexibility for the court.
What do we do this, Sergio? Give you the 59 cents so that you have more flexibility, but show the 1.5 cent difference or percent difference on your line item, so that we know that if we're going into that, we're having to raise taxes. Instead of just having the 59% budget and everybody starts jumping in and trying to spend that money. If you show it as a separate line item.
What I wanted to do during the budget process is still present to the court the revenues at 57.5 and sort of work through the budget at 57.5. I know we will still have a shortfall at the end after we look at the different options that the court might have. I know we'll still have a shortfall, and that's where, possibly maybe we would be able to reduce that shortfall by increasing the proposed tax rate. But at least that court at that point has that option. But I would want to go through the budget process at the 57.5 cent.
Well, one of the things, Sergio, that I think will certainly be helpful for me is that, because of this limitation as to how much we can go on this tax rate is the thing we can't change. We cannot change that we're going to be opening up a new courthouse. And when we open up a new courthouse, we can't change the fact that we're going to increase our expenses and we're going to open up two new courts. So those are additional expenses that we're having that are not related just to payroll. Those are actual, we're increasing our capacity in the judicial system. So these are new expenses. So if we know that those things are going to happen in the future, then how does this law play into choosing a tax rate? I think would be helpful. It would be helpful for me, and I hopefully for everybody, to know that.
As far as no new tax rate, Judge? Yeah, I mean, I think right now, as long as we're below the 60/58 rate, we should be fine as far as no new tax rate, and not have to go through any additional hearings or anything like that.
And that amount is going to be what next year, Paul? What would that 60.58 be for next year?
0.6058?
Yeah.
You're looking at about $218 million.
No.
What the no new tax rate would be next year, Judge?
Right.
That would depend on property valuations for the next tax roll, based on the values for next year. We won't know that until next year. Again, if history serves us right, we should be within that no new tax rate again next year.
So basically, again, more or less the same.
More or less the same, yes, because normally the property value increases that we see year to year, half of them are from existing values, and then the other half of the increases from new values, which does not get taken into effect when calculating the no new tax rate and the voter approval tax rate.
So I just want to say that that I agree with Mr. Cruz. If you propose the 0.59 cents, it's not going to go above the 0.6058. So we don't have to have a public hearing. So we can set we can set the adoption of the tax rate for September 29th at 2 p.m. at the Commissioner's Court. If you decide on the 29th that you want to lower to 58 cents or 57.50, you can do so. But right now, at least you have the flexibility to work with 0.59. So it would be up to the judge and commissioners to vote on this proposed tax rate, and then we'll vote on the setting the date and time to adopt.
And I understand it. I was trying to go, how does this decision, I know how this decision impacts this year. I want to know how it impacts the following year.
Yeah, Mr. was saying next year I'll get the new values. So we'll be taking the values from this year and dividing them with next year's value. So we don't know at this point. Hopefully the values will continue to maintain next year.
Judge, and as far as from sort of planning for next year, we expect that new tax rate would still be above the 60 cents, and it might actually be even higher, depending on any type of a growth slowdown that we might see because of COVID, and any type of home and commercial value devaluation because of the COVID situation. If anything, we would be losing taxable values for next year, as opposed to increasing at a higher rate than we did this year.
Okay.
We should be fine. Judge, again, my recommendation would be for the court to approve a proposed tax rate of 59 cents. That would still, that does not mean that it's going to be a guaranteed increase to 59 cents. That will still, the court will still be able to discuss that during the budget workshops, and would still be able to approve the current tax rate at 57.5 in September 29th, after we go through all the budget workshop exercises.
Yeah, because we worked really hard to get it to 57.5. I'd hate to change that.
Yeah, like the rollback rate, the voter approval tax rate, you could even propose 0.6220 right now if you wanted to. And on the date of the adoption, you can adopt 0.5750. So it's it just gives you a little bit of work where you can say, look, I can go higher. But like the commissioner said, I want to try to work on what we had last year. You can still do that right now if you propose the 59 cents. And since you're not exceeding the 0.6058, we don't have to have a public hearing on September 29th. When you adopt the tax rate, at that point, you can decide that you want to adopt the same tax rate, you can do so.
So do I have a motion? The recommendation is 59.59.
I make a motion, but we're going to fight hard to keep it at 57.5.
A motion at 59 and fight hard to keep it at 57.
Yes, sir.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. The other thing is just please vote on the date to adopt the tax rate, which is September 29th at 2 p.m. at Commissioner's Court. You want to vote on that, please?
So moved.
And Judge, real quick, I just want to make a recommendation that we need to do a roll call vote for the tax rate and schedule.
Okay. Let's do a roll call vote. We had a motion and a second for 0.59 for the proposed tax rate. We'll start with precinct number 1.
Aye.
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 Aye. Let the record show that everyone voted aye with the exception of Commissioner Flores, who is absent for this meeting. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Did you also need one for the date, Josie?
The date.
You need the date also, Josie?
Oh, sorry. There was a motion and a second, but I don't believe you took action on it.
For the date?
Right.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for the date, which was September 29th.
At 2 o'clock.
Is that correct? September 29th, 2 o'clock? All those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, do I have to take a roll vote again?
Just go ahead. I would recommend you do that. Yes.
All right,
Aye.
let me take a roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show, motion passes. Let the record show that county judge and 3 commissioners voted in favor of it, but Commissioner Flores was absent. Okay. We're done with Mr. Gabriel.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you, Paul. Item 15A.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Carlos Ligero, Human Resources. Item 15A. First, requesting a waiver of the following, if applicable, for personnel items that are listed below. 1, Civil Service Commission Rules, Section 3.22, Hidalgo County Personnel Policy Manual, Section 6.27, and 3, Budget Amendment Policy for personnel-related amendments. This would be waivers that we would need for the items that follow.
I'll move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, item 15B, this is discussion and consideration and possible action on the attached E-Verify Memorandum of Understanding for employers between the county and the Department of Homeland Security. Judge, the E-Verify is a system where employers can verify certain information related to the eligibility of people to work, eligible to work, in terms of Social Security and other requirements. It's not required in Texas across the board. The Texas does require it for state agencies. However, because we receive grants from the state, and we would be required to operate or to participate in the E-Verify system. We have to certify on grants that we are utilizing E-Verify. And basically what we do is we verify information related to the I-9. It doesn't slow down the hiring process. We continue to hire the people, and then we submit for verification. And if an employee is ineligible to work because of Social Security numbers or things that are not correct and not matching, then obviously we would then not be able to hire them. So That's the reason that we're asking for this. We worked with legal on this, so they helped us in consultation with legal and coordination on developing this memorandum of understanding. So we recommend approval of item number 1.
So moved.
Or a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B2 is requesting authority for the county judge or the county executive officer to sign via electronic signature the E-Verify memorandum of understanding on behalf of the county.
Move for approval.
Motion to second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Item 15C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the attached Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Clearinghouse policy. This is a policy also in consultation and coordination with our legal department. We have developed this policy that became effective January of last year. This requires us as an employer to check with this clearinghouse any violations that employees that have CDL license, commercial driver's license, any job that requires a commercial driver's license, that employee would be subject for us to check for any drug or alcohol violations through this clearinghouse. The idea here is to prevent people that are not eligible to go from employer to employer or from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, one state to another, to avoid any violations that may be on their records. So this is a requirement. So we recommend approval on the policy, as I mentioned, that we developed in conjunction with legal department on item number 1.
Motion to approve.
Did you talk to the precincts about this, Owen?
I sent the information for input and comment about 2 weeks ago, Commissioner.
Okay, we're good. Sorry. Second.
A motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the attached general consent for limited queries of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. This would be for us to secure the consent of the employee, the driver.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D, Judge Commissioners, a little background. Back in last year, we upgraded the qualifications of the bailiff positions in the courts at the request of some of the judges. Prior to last year, it was not a requirement that the bailiffs be licensed peace officers. We upgraded the positions where the county courts allow bailiffs to be. A bailiff would require a peace officer license with a basic TCLO certification, and the district courts would have a higher level bailiff with a higher level of certification, and also must be licensed peace officers. So we upgraded the positions because of administrative error. There were 5 employees that were upgraded at that time, but the courts did not submit through error the required change of status, and they did not receive the adjustment in their salary. So this is a court-approved upgrade. There was a total of 5 individuals, 3 in the county clerks and 2 district courts, and the total amount of the back pay is $8,000 for the 5 employees, roughly an average of about $1,000 or a little over that per employee. We recommend approval. This is the positions were upgraded at that time, and they were not adjusted through error.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I think it's time that we take about a 5-minute break. We've been at it for a while. We don't need to take a motion or anything. Let's just take 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We were
Judge.
at 15.
You want me to continue?
15E, Raul?
We were on 15E on that one. We're going to pass, and I think we're going to discuss that later on in the agenda, Judge. So we'll go to 15F.
Okay.
15F, Precinct 1, Road Maintenance. The precinct is asking approval to extend 4 temporary full-time positions for 18 weeks, beginning September 1, 2020, and ending 12/31/2020. These are 4 temporary slots as listed, and they're maintenance ones. So we recommend approval.
Move for approval?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 15G, Constable Precinct 3, stop truancy. Judge, Commissioners, Precinct 3, Constable Gallardo has memorandums of understanding, interlocals with school districts in his area, La Jolla Independent School District and Mission School District. In the Mission School District, he's got 3 deputies that are funded 70% by the school district and 30% by the county. And they requested an additional deputy at the same rate, 70-30, and it's for their truancy program. So he's asking permission to create or approval to create another slot number 004, deputy constable at a rank 6 and funded at 70-30 as per the interlocal that he's developed with the school district.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item H is for the it's for the county auditors. They're having a lot of work processing CARES Act related payment requests from municipalities. So they're asking for some help in terms of positions. The item reads discussion, consideration, and action to approve a necessary CARES Act relief fund expenditure to cover costs not accounted for in the current budget and cannot be lawfully funded by line item, allotment, or allocation for personnel costs to create 5 Accountant 1 positions to assist with county actions to facilitate compliance with public health measures addressing the ongoing COVID-19 public health emergency. The court, having reviewed the agenda item briefing, herein finds that such expenditure is reasonable and necessary for the intended use. And item 2 reads approval to create 5 temporary full-time positions for 18 weeks, beginning August 31st, 2020, and ending, actually there's a correction there, ending 12/30/2020 for the county auditor's office. It would be 5 accountants, slots T034 through T038. These are non-classified positions. This is to assist with processing of payments for municipalities from CARES Act. Recommend approval.
We need that. Motion to approve.
Commissioner, that would be H1 and 2, correct?
H1 and 2, yes.
Yes. We have a motion to approve H1 and 2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Did we get a second?
We need a second.
Yes.
I thought Commissioner.
No, Commissioner Torres made the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Fuentes made the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, and we'll come back to item 15E at later on in the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. (16A).
Good morning, Judge. This is Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services. I have a couple of items today. We have item 16A, requesting approval to accept the Title V fee-for-service perinatal medical grant, contract number HHS 0006876000001.
Go take a nap and come back.
In the amount of $98,936 for the period of 9/1/2020 to 8/31/2021, and for the county judge to e-sign the same along with the related documents.
We're going to go to number 2 also.
requesting approval of certification of revenues on the amount of $98,936 to appropriate the same.
Move to approve 16A1 and 2.
Second.
We have a motion to approve 16A1 and 2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 16B, sir, discussion, consideration, and approval of the letter of agreement regarding data sharing, use, and publication of results. The purpose is to collaborate with the World Health Organization regarding the activities and the study on understanding the relation between Zika virus infecting during pregnancy and adverse fetal, infant, and child outcomes. And then number 2 is requesting approval for Eduardo Olivares, Chief Administrative Officer, to sign the letter of agreement on behalf of Hidalgo County Health and Human Services Department. This is just data sharing from some studies and publications with the World Health Organization and dealing with Zika that we've done over the last 3 years, sir.
Move for approval 16B1 and 2.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you very
carries.
much, sir.
Thank you, Eddie. Item 17A.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Clarissa Ramirez with the Hidalgo County WIC program. Presenting on item 17A, the WIC Admin Program 001-1292, requesting approval of the certification of revenue by the county auditor in the amount of $500,000 and appropriation of the same.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Clarissa.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Judge Commissioners. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget and Management. Item 18A. Judge Commissioners, we'll come back to that item a little bit later on the agenda. Item 18B, requesting approval of rating engagement with S&P Global Ratings and Moody's Investor Service with authority for the county executive officer to sign the engagement letters and other related documents for this transaction.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Item 18C1, discussion, consideration, and action to approve a necessary CARES Act relief fund expenditure to cover costs not accounted for in the current budget and cannot be lawfully funded by line item, allotment, or allocation for the stockpile facility property for emergency management in order to assist with the county's action to facilitate compliance with public health measures addressing the ongoing COVID-19 emergency. The court, having reviewed the agenda item briefing, herein finds that such expenditures is necessary for the intended use. We recommend approval.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 18C2 is requesting approval of the real estate sales contract for the purchase of the site's real estate warehouse in North Edinburgh with authority for the county treasurer to issue earnest money check to Land Title Texas in the amount of $1,000 after review and auditing procedures are completed by the county auditor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
And item 18D is approval of salary schedule related changes in accordance with the Hidalgo County Classification and Compensation Pay Plan. And this is for a lateral transfer for a bailiff 2 at one of the district courts.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 18E will also take up a little bit later on the agenda. Item 18F is discussion, consideration, and action to approve the ratification of necessary CARES Act relief fund expenditures as listed on Exhibit A, totaling $67,069.76 to cover costs not accounted for in the current budget and cannot be lawfully funded by line item, allotment, or allocation in connection with the ongoing COVID-19 public health emergency. The court, having reviewed the agenda item briefing, herein finds that such expenditures are necessary and reasonable for the intended use.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. All the departments need to do this quickly.
And finally, item 18G1 is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for revenues received for settlement costs in excess of the county's SIR in the amount of $500,000 and appropriation of the same.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, Sergio.
19A, Purchasing Department, Martha Salazar. A1 is discussion, consideration, and actions to approve a necessary CARES Act relief fund expenditure to cover costs not accounted for in the current budget and cannot be lawfully funded by line item allotment or allocation for the lease rental of an office space to accommodate the additional staffing in order to assist the county's actions to facilitate compliance with public health measures addressing the ongoing COVID-19 emergency. The court, having reviewed the agenda item briefing, herein finds that such expenditure is necessary for the intended use.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A1 and or 6, as further detailed as attached herein.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C is acceptance and approval of a short-term lease or rental agreement between Hidalgo County and ASTCHAR LLC to address additional staffing required to address the COVID-19 public health emergency. And the commencement date is 9/1/20 for an initial 3,627 square feet. That is $1.25 a square foot with all utilities paid by the owner. And the county's option to rent all square footage available subject to compliance with all statutory and county requirements and legal counsel's final review and approval of as to form. That has come in. It is being uploaded on the agenda. We recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item B1, emergency management, approval of a clarification on the professional architectural services agreement between Hidalgo County, Wright Ogden Figueroa Alex Architect to reflect the finalized scope of work and services in connection with the remodeling and renovation of the two county-owned buildings located on the corner of Mall and 10th Street to house emergency operations and call centers, and thus replace the original scope of work to the document.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2, emergency management as well, authorization and approval to purchase through the state of Texas federal surplus program under chapter 2175.001, the Texas Local Government Code, and section 262.024.9C, one ramp mobile asset as numbered through requisition as stated in the amount of $1,950, with authority to issue a purchase order and the county treasurer to issue a check payable to Texas Facilities Commission after the review and audit protocol is completed by the county auditor.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item C1, Precinct 1, acceptance and approval to execute Amendment 1 between Hidalgo County and architect Alvarado Architects and Associates to include the approximate new square footage described in the document for Sunset Park Operations Facility. The observations have been complied with.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item 2 is requesting approval of supplemental agreement under work of the contract under as stated for Half and Associates Incorporated to increase the cost by $64,090 to the revised total of $176,190 for the Precinct 1 Sunset Park Operations improvement.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D, Precinct 2, number 1 is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements, Texas Local Government Code 262.024A4, a professional service.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B is presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of the firms graded and evaluated through the county's approved pool in connection with job-specific professional services for Lopezville Park Improvements Project. That is GDJ Engineering at 96, Quintanilla Headley and Associates at 94, and Cruz Hogan Consultants Incorporated at 93. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of those scores?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C is authority for the Purchasing Department to negotiate a professional engineering services agreement commencing with the #1 ranked firm of GDJ for professional engineering services for the Lopezville Park Improvement Project.
So move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D2A, acceptance and approval of work authorization 3 with an estimated cost of $844,682.80 as submitted by LNG under the contract as posted to provide right-of-way acquisition services needed for the Precinct 2 Eldora Road project from Jackson to I-Roads.
So move.
We get a second?
Yes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2B is pursuant to the contract with LNG Engineering, Article 14, a request approved by a request for approval by the engineer for Commissioners Court to permit the subcontracting of Brighton Group LLC, Leonel Garza Jr. and Associates LLC to provide ROW acquisition and appraisal services in connection with work authorization 3.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item E1 for Precinct 3, acceptance and approval to execute a final form of on-call professional surveying services agreement between the county and ROW Surveying LLC for project located within Precinct 3 as approved for negotiations back on June 16th. The observation as to legal counsel review has been complied with. This is being recommended subject to compliance with Form 1295.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
F1 Precinct 4, request to accept the lowest and best bid, meeting all requirements and specification, and approval of the contract for construction of the storage facility mezzanine between the County of Hidalgo and RG Enterprises LLC, DBA, G&G Contractors, subject to submittal of the vendor insurance and legals approval for $135,147.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
I'm going to take up items 2 and 3 together because they're exactly the same. Item 2A will suffice for 3A as well, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 262-024A4, Professional Service, and Government Code 2254-004, Professional Services Procurement Act. That is for 2A and 3A.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2B and 3B, requesting approval of First Amendment to service contract for professional engineering services between Hidalgo County Precinct 4 and Half and Associates, and a professional engineering services between Precinct 4 and B2Z Engineering, respectively, to extend the termination dates for both to December 31st, 2020.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item G1 for the IT department, discussion and approval of interlocal cooperation agreements and memorandums of understanding. The agreement format between Hidalgo County and the applicable cities, ISPs, public utility entities authorizing to use assets as part of the COVID-19 emergency to establish a Wi-Fi project to assist the citizens of Hidalgo County with learning, including technology improvements, as well as improving telework capability subject to legal counsel's final review. Approved as to form with authority for the county judge thereafter to sign same.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item H for WIC, I will take items 1, A, B, and C. A, B, C, and D together. They're all are just different medical providers. A, requesting approval of a memorandum of understanding between Hidalgo County Women, Infants, and Children's Program and McAllen Medical Center. B, Doctors Hospital at Renaissance. C, Holy Family Birth Center. And D, Edinburgh Regional Medical Center, to provide the Texas 10-step training program with an automatic renewal for successive one-year periods. And that applies to A, B, C, and D.
For approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item I for the Sheriff's Office, 1A, discussion, consideration, and approval of a necessary CARES Act relief fund expenditure to cover costs not accounted for in the current budget and cannot be lawfully funded by line item, allotment, or allocation for the purchase of a Ford Transit 250 in order to assist with the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office function related to medical and public health expenses by transporting severely ill or disabled inmates during the COVID-19 public health emergency. The court, having reviewed the agenda item briefing, herein finds that such expenditure is reasonable and necessary for the intended use.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item B, requesting exemption from competitivity requirements pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 2024A 1 and 2.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Item C is requesting approval to purchase one Ford Transit 250 with ADA Diverge Prisoner Package through distributor Silsby Ford. The amount of $55,985.37.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty.
Judge, Commissioners, with your permission, item 20A, 1 and 2, there is no action or discussion for this week. I'll go up to item 20B, appointment, reappointment of Civil Service Commission members. Judge, Commissioners, currently we have the County Judge, Richard Cortez, and Commissioner Eddie Cantu with appointments. Commissioner, I'll start with Commissioner Cantu. Commissioner Cantu, Ms.
I'm fine with reappointing. I think she's the chair.
Yes, Michelle Rabinovich.
I'm fine with reappointing her.
Okay. And Judge Cortez, you
I
have.
would like to appoint Mr. Raymond Longoria from Mission
Okay.
to fill the position that's presently being held by Mayor Villarreal from
Okay.
Palm View.
Move for approval. Those are the only two, right, Valde?
Yes, sir.
Augment.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, item 20C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are identical to the action items that were under the Drainage District. So Commissioner Fuentes, if I may, it's discussion, consideration, authorization for County Commissioner David L. Fuentes and Eli Torres to submit comments to the Texas General Land Office relating to the state of Texas CDBG DR action plan for 2018 South Texas floods. That would be the first action item.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Second action item is discussion, consideration, and authorization for County Commissioners David L. Fuentes and Eli Torres to submit comments to the Texas General Land Office regarding the state of Texas CDR action plan for 2019 disasters.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is discussion, consideration, and authorization for Hidalgo County to submit waiver to Texas General Land Office and U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development regarding the state of Texas CDBG DR action plan for 2018 South Texas floods.
And number 4 is for 2019 floods, the exact
Yes.
same language. So I'll make an motion for 20C, 3 and 4.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Action item 5, requesting approval to complete and submit a joint application with Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 for the 2015 flood state mitigation competition to the State General Land Office.
Number 6, Valda, is the same thing, but for 2016 state mitigation competition.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make a motion for 20C, 5 and 6.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the last action item is discussion and possible action regarding the nomination of individuals to the General Land Office CDBG MIT Citizens Advisory Committee.
Not sure if Cecine Jaime Salazar are still there, but there was some criteria with respect to serving on this committee. You had to meet certain qualifications. 1, you're a survivor of that event, of those events. Number 2, that you were an elected official. And there were a couple of other qualifications. And I know during the drainage district meeting, we made the nominations for myself, David Fuentes, for Commissioner Eli Torres, and for Raul Cecine to be nominated to serve on this committee. So I'll echo that nomination in this motion.
Is there a second? Have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, if you don't mind, just really quickly, this is in regards to people that didn't watch the drainage district meeting. This is an important part of the comment period with respect to the disaster recovery that the GLO is administering on behalf of Housing and Urban Development. The state action plan had, we believe, some shortfalls in the way that it would address the recovery. So we are going to be making comments on behalf of our area and all the communities that reside within Hidalgo County to try to reallocate those funds or get them changed to be more useful for us and more impactful with respect to drainage and recovery. The waiver is requesting some consideration of monies to be shifted around past normal allocations. So we'll be requesting that as well as part of our plan. And being part of the advisory committee is really having a say in the way that these programs are administered and how they get approved and recommended to the state. So these are all very important for our area. And I appreciate not only Commissioner Torres for being willing to be a part of that action, but your support and Commissioner Cantu's support in trying to make sure that we get as much as we can for Hidalgo County for this disaster recovery. So thank you all very much.
Absolutely. Go get them.
Judge, Commissioners, the next item D, as the judge stated earlier on the agenda with respect to the dues membership, we have discussion, consideration, action on Border Trade Alliance 2020 membership dues. Item 2 is the dollar amount associated with the membership, and that is for the 2020-2021 membership in the amount of $10,000.
For approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
As always, it'll be with the authority of the county treasurer to issue check after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor. Item 3, and again, subject to the funding of that account. Item 3 is discussion, consideration, and action nominating a member to the Border Trade Alliance Board of Directors and designating a proxy. Judge?
I'll be happy to serve unless somebody else wants to serve. I mean, this is a great organization. It's been here a long, long time. They have a lot of respect in Washington for border trade issues. It's a tri-national organization made up of Canadians, Americans, and Mexicans. Whoever would like to have this experience, it's a great experience. I'll be happy to any commissioner that wants to serve here. I'm an ex-chair, so I know all about it. But,
you want to serve, Judge? You want to be on it?
Only if one of you don't. But I think it's important because, you know, so much of our We have 5 international bridges in Hidalgo County. International trade is very important. Whatever Washington does dealing with international trade impacts our budget, impacts everything. So it's important that we get there. But I'd like for one of you to serve, if you like.
Who's currently serving?
I don't think anyone from the county makes the meetings. But it's a really it's a good experience, a great organization. Like I said, been around a long time. Senator Graham, when he was senator of Texas, is the one that suggested, because everybody from the border was going to Washington asking for things. It said, hey, El Paso comes over here, Nogales, Arizona comes over here, Brownsville comes over here. Why don't you all come together and you'll do better? And that's where this is. So
I have a couple of bridges. I mean, if Eddie's doesn't, I mean, if neither one of the commissioners would like to do it, I don't mind participating and learning about this.
Okay.
I'm fine without it. I'll make a motion to appoint Commissioner Fuentes.
And
okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 I think you need to go back and take item
Yes.
number 2.
And Judge Commissioners, we also have the second part of that would be the designation of a proxy.
No, but they didn't approve item number 2 on the 10,000.
Make a motion to approve 20D2.
There you go.
We have a motion and a second. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the proxy, Velde, is that, we're
Yes.
missing that?
Yes, we need a designation of a proxy.
I'll be happy to.
I'll nominate Judge for a proxy.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Item E, discussion, consideration, and action on countywide internship. Mr. Everardo Villarreal.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, item 21, we will take up after closed session.
Okay, we need to go to closed session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.087, we'll be retiring to closed session to deliberate those items. Any action items to be taken will be taken in open session. I have a motion to retire to closed session.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. We're going into closed session. Okay, we're back from closed session, and I believe we do have some action items.
Yes, sir. Judge Commissioners, with your permission, item under open session, 24A, real estate acquisition appropriation for same. There is no action to be taken. 24B, pending and or potential litigation. There is no action to be taken. 24C, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding response to public health emergency. Judge Commissioners, I will refer back to item 21 in a couple of minutes. Item 24D, civil action number 719 CV 118, Neil McDonald versus Jennifer Glover et al. Judge Commissioners, I'm asking for action for the approval of the settlement documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 24E, civil action number 716 CV 00510, Doris Salia Maldonado et al. Versus Ricardo Rodriguez as District Attorney of Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I'm asking for action for the approval of the settlement and all related settlement documents as facilitated through our insurance carrier.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 24F, EEOC number 451, 2019-04078, SPO versus county. Judge Commissioners, I'm asking for for the approval of the settlement documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
24G, claim of family of Jorge Alejandro Gonzalez Zuniga. There is no action to be taken at this time. And 24H, claim of Joel Gutierrez Jr. Judge Commissioners, I would like settlement authority to make an offer of settlement in the amount of $2,771.20.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
For the record, if accepted, I will ask the auditor's office to make check payable to Calista Marie Chacon. Judge and Commissioners, if I may, item 23A, there is no action to be taken, and 23B, there is no action to be taken. I will refer back to item 21, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding A, county response to disaster health emergency. 1, CARES Act funds. And the first action item would be discussion, consideration, and action to approve memorandums of understanding with county hospital systems related to continued mitigation of COVID-19 during the ongoing public health emergency.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
21B, measures necessary to preserve public health and safety. There's no action to be taken on that item this week. And 21C, direction regarding county government operations, including but not limited to essential functions. Judge Commissioners, as I've reported week in and week out, we continue to practice the CDC guidelines with our employees and also communicate to our constituency the importance of following CDC guidelines regarding COVID-19, that is. We also continue with our facial coverings and social distancing. And as always, we have the health and safety of our constituency when they visit our facilities, as well as our county employees in our county facilities. With that being said, Judge,
did we do 15E?
No, I was going to go back to 15. Yes.
And Valde, since you mentioned masks, I really want to look at our mask policy. Can we talk about it? Can you look into it and have something for us to look at?
Yes, sir.
Our masks aren't working.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Thank you.
If I may, going back to 15E under human resources, Mr. Silguero, I have him on the line. If we could now, Mr. Silguero, if you could please present item 15E.
Yes, sir. 15E, Human Services. Approval of the following personnel actions effective next full pay period, August 31, 2020. The department is asking that we delete 2 positions under the 1115 waiver. It's slot 1 and slot 2, coordinator 2 and a coordinator 1 with the listed salaries, and to instead add supplemental allowance to slot 001, division manager 3 in the amount of $5,000. And to add supplemental allowance for coordinator 2, slot 33 and 004 in the amount of $5,700. In lieu of the positions, the department is asking that we perform these duties, that these employees continue to perform these duties and get the compensation for that responsibility.
So moved.
Second.
Having a motion and a second to approve, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silguero.
Thank you.
Let me move on to our last 2 action items. Item 18A with Mr. Cruz, Sergio Cruz, Budget and Management. Mr. Cruz, you have 18A, 1 and 2.
18A1, going to be discussion, consideration, and approval of amendments to the Hidalgo County CARE Small Business Grant Program Guidelines and Eligibility Criteria as they were discussed in executive session.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And item 18A2, discussion, consideration, and approval of amendments to the Hidalgo County COVID Condolence Program Guidelines and Eligibility Criteria.
Move for approval.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Cruz,
Item 18E, discussion, consideration, and action to approve the ratification of amendments to the master agreement between Hidalgo County and People Fund to be effective August 4th, 2020, following recent approved updates to the Hidalgo County CARES Small Business Grant Program guidelines and eligibility criteria.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, I believe that takes care of all the action items or discussion items on Commissioners Court. There's no need to take any action on item 25 or item 26. We have adjournment.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Oh, come on. Are you serious? Over?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Lopez, please don't disconnect. And Judge, Commissioners, we will. I want to announce that we are going to pass on the budget workshop, and I will talk to Mr. Cruz on some direction with respect to a workshop item or a workshop line item.
Yeah, it just went too long. We'll reschedule it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you all very much.